What according to your work?
I think it was understanding of my teaching. One time I made this comedy sketch. It was like a 20-30 second thing. Sliding, opening reels, uploading it. Then I slept. Forgot about it.
Right.
And that video got 5 million views.
So you enjoyed the life of a creator.
So this is gonna sound very extremist, but I feel disrespected.
It teaches you winning and losing every day. So you learn how to recover from adversity.
The way I understood things was intuition. People are controlled by them limiting themselves. The less inflated your sense of self is, the more you'll be okay to keep doing it.
Bro, if you are nobody, you can actually be anybody.
So in a 10-year window, that's how you would map yourself to?
I mean, schooling is the system, college is the system, but education is for life.
I feel there's a lot of information that's coming at a very fast pace.
Sex and money. That's all that the world wants, and that's what social media sells.
Okay, damn.
It's all
Exposed.
exposed.
Kabir exposed.
But is building a personal brand necessary for your business?
Not necessary, but
So, Vidu, I mean, I know your background and your life and your origin story, so we'll keep that for later. Kabir, I'm so fascinated by this energy that you have at the age of 21 to do all of these things, and it reminds me a little bit of how I started out doing things back when I was, when I got into Instagram, which is at the age of 23. I'm assuming you were a pro by the time you were 15. So I'm very curious of what is your origin story, like something you haven't told before. Like, I'm assuming you made a lot of content, but you probably haven't covered this part yourself. Very keen to know, what's the origin story?
I think it was when I was 13, and so the entire story revolves around my two best friends. Okay, and I still know them to this date. And these guys visited 2 days ago, and I'm still building this company with one of them. So
Nice.
It's been 10 years. So I recently changed my school, went to a new school, and it was like a whole tier town difference. Like, I was in a town before, and it was more like a city situation.
Where were you before?
So I originally am from Indore.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you know Indore?
Oh, yeah. Our current chief creative officer is from Indore.
Nice. So there's a town nearby called Mahu.
Mhm.
It's military headquarters of war. That's where I used to live, and Indore
Nice.
was 30 kilometers away. So we moved, and I joined a new school when I was in class 6th.
Mhm.
So I met these two new guys, and they were really sharp, really, really smart, and really studious. And I was very heavy, very fat. And I just used to keep reading books, didn't have much of a personality, didn't have friends at all. So that time, these guys wanted to start making videos on YouTube.
Mhm.
Why? Because we were into technology in general, and they wanted to show the world how curiosity for tech could teach you a lot of things about life in general.
Right.
So there were videos about taking RAM out of a running laptop and seeing what happens.
Right.
That's it. There's a 7-minute long video, which is the entire build up of what could possibly happen, hypothesizing it.
right.
And then later actually pulling it out, and 4 seconds later, it's just a blue screen. It wasn't that obvious to us. And then installing the most disastrous virus on a separate machine, and then killing it basically. Then actually taking the Nokia, the old phone, which all the memes are about that. You can't break this phone. We
Mhm.
actually try to break it.
Nice.
Just stuff like that. The way
So
when we-
you were very curious.
yeah, just in general. And we had a lot of time. School would get over at 2. What would I do then? So we used
So
to make
you essentially grew up with gadgets, grew up with, was it just into just gadgets like phones and other tech-based things, or did you have other interests also
Okay, so ever since I was interested in people, I never had friends, but I loved listening to people. For me, the most interesting thing was how people always weirdly behave.
Mhm.
They're just very weird. Because, so I have lived all my childhood very isolated, right? So I was in a town. I used to spend 4 or 5 hours by myself. I wasn't into sports at all.
Mhm.
So my friends would call me to play. I wouldn't go. And then all that I had was my laptop, my guitar, and eventually I bought gymnastic rings. So I started training, but then that was also alone.
Right.
So a disgusting amount of time in life alone. So whenever I would interact with people, I think that I would notice a lot more, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't speak a lot, but I would see, I can feel your energy a lot more. And then that was very fascinating to see the patterns and everything. This was the number one thing that I was interested in when I was 13.
We are alike. I was a lot like that.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of time alone, just at home or otherwise, but
I think that's
I
what
would-
leads you to marketing.
I don't know. I think it makes you a very good observer, because you're alone, and then you're spending more time observing than speaking. So when you're in a group, that trait just carries forward. So you tend to observe things faster. So I felt a lot of that. But then I also did other things. I went out and played and did other things as well. But there was a significant amount of time, if I was not doing any of that, I was spending by myself.
I couldn't. I was too fat.
That's fine. I'm like, you've seen Vidu's pictures?
So that was the case. So this was when I was 13. We started making these videos, and one of my relatives is from Dubai. So my dad went one time and he bought a laptop at that time. So I installed Premiere in that, like some CS6 stuff.
What age was this?
13.
Oh, nice.
So I installed and I'm trying to figure out how do you cut. So there was a time where I would like pick the cut tool, drag it here, chop it and do stuff like that. And green screen and make cars fly.
Nice.
I still have those videos.
Nice.
Yes.
My God.
I was really into VFX. I made this video once where like I would wear a green screen and like try to do a Harry Potter cloak type of
Nice.
situation. So just stuff like that. We did like a 8-video series of VFX, just trying one new trick,
Nice.
like a 30-second video. I was making reels back then on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that was like a cultural thing in our school. And I got
Did
bullied
everybody
a lot.
like...
Nobody did. Just we did. And we got bullied a lot for it.
Yeah.
But then it was like, so there's top 10% people who are like very nerdy. Top 10% because academically top 10%. So these guys would be very interested.
Right.
It would be very fascinating. But then rest of them were like, what is this weird stuff? How can you do this? And like...
Was that the weirdest thing you did though, according to you?
No. I was generally weird because... So... I could never get into trivial conversations a lot. So I've learned it now. And the way that I learned it is understanding women better.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
So it was more about maybe just listening to somebody for a little bit longer and like showing interest in the conversation and genuinely being interested, not just like faking the interest,
Right.
can genuinely make them a lot more happier. And it was like a small trade-off. But earlier I didn't understand that much.
Right.
So trivial conversations were like very painful. So no conversations then. 13-year-old, all conversations are trivial. So I was interested in stuff like this and nobody else was. So I was fat, interested in weird stuff and then got bullied a lot. So it was very fun. It was then the isolation only grew. That led to even more isolation. So then later when I was like 15, 16 and around this time I started dating somebody. And so I've dated just one person in my life. Okay. And I've dated her for 7 years. Only once. And so having her and observing her brought this awareness when I was 15, 16 that maybe I shouldn't be fat. Maybe this is a problem, right? Because you don't have that awareness as a child for yourself. You're like, there's somebody else that is intertwined with my life now. And it's an impact on her as well. It's like,
right.
She is receiving worse because I'm not willing to move. So I started to move. I bought gymnastics rings and I got interested in that. So that way, a lot of time was just reading books about human behavior and making videos. So those two things combined later, and I understood it way later, like what could be done through it. So fast forward, then 10th happened, and my parents told me that focus on your studies, don't do all of this stuff. So until 12th, I didn't. And
do you have to pick a specialization after 10th? Like you have to choose a stream? Or
they
choose...
insisted for me to take math.
Okay.
So I took commerce plus math.
Okay.
I'm so glad. I am genuinely using all of it. Like,
really?
I feel like, even if you're not interested in math, so now this is gonna digress a little bit.
Okay.
But I learned about learning in general a lot more recently.
Okay.
Because, so I am very fascinated with math right now. Even right now, I watch random videos like, this is the toughest question in IIT JEE, and I would watch a 3-minute video of how do they solve the triangle and make it like a complicated equation now. But then I was not interested at all because I didn't know the why. And that's what we are doing right now in school is around completely. Right. It's like if you don't know the why and how this can impact you, then you have very low receptivity towards what you're learning.
Right.
And
so we'll come to lit school. I'm
exactly.
very curious about it. But before that, so you finished 11th, 12th in Indore. That's where you studied?
Yes.
And then college?
College, I went to Mumbai.
Oh, great.
Just for 8 months.
Oh, and you came back after?
I came back after 8 months to Bangalore.
Oh,
So I
okay.
ran away from college.
Oh, wow. Which
I
college was this?
Mumbai University.
Okay.
So first 2 years were in COVID. I
Hmm.
graduated in 2020. So 2 years home. Then last year of my college was supposed to be offline.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in June of last year.
Mhm.
Then I realized that nothing's happening. There's nothing to do. So I started making videos again.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like a 300 follower private account at that time. And I was very interested in this, but I would keep making videos and keep sending in my friends group,
Right.
but never post it. And they kept forcing me to post it again and again. And this one time they were like, we don't care, you have to post it. So I still have like a 7 people group.
What
Of the-
videos were these? Like, just curious.
Anything that I want to talk about.
Oh, they were
I
personal videos.
Yeah, anything. It was like, Weekend released a new album. I want to talk about it. It's
Got
a
it.
video.
Nice.
Anything that I care about. So one time I made this comedy sketch and they asked me to post it. It seemed like a fun thing.
Mhm.
It was like a 20-30 second thing. So I like literally remember turning the account private to public, sliding, opening reels, uploading it. Then I slept, forgot about it.
Right.
And that video got 5 million views.
Oh.
And I was not into marketing at all.
So that was your first viral moment?
Yeah. So I was not into marketing. I hadn't really done any marketing for any company
Right.
as of yet. So this is the first time I was like, wow. So the same hypothesis that I had from the first video, I tried to make 9 more of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And more than 7 of those got like more than 1 million views.
Nice.
And in the first month, that's what helped me with discoverability in general. That's what allowed me to get 10,000 followers in the first month.
Out of curiosity, what according to you worked? What gave you that first push and then subsequently those 9 videos?
I think it was understanding of my TG.
Right. And you
Understanding
spoke to people of your same age, younger than you?
Yeah, at that time. So
Right.
So for me, those videos were not funny.
Hmm.
But I really understood culture.
Right.
So I knew, and I love personality. Like I loved showing personality. Like
Mhm.
I am a little bit extra since the very beginning. That's why it's difficult because a little bit extra, right?
Right.
I have like more expression to show.
Right.
So I was just mixing my personality with culture
Right.
of how they understood things. And just basic filmmaking done well, like awareness that how hooks work and how like every single sentence needs to consequentially lead more curiosity towards the very end, and end needs to be drugs,
Okay.
endorphins, oxytocin, anything. They need to feel something.
Hmm.
And as long as that is followed in a video, it's bound to be shared because they felt something and they want other people to feel it.
Right.
So let's share it.
Right.
So that was like, so I started experimenting more because comedy was something which was not really
Your thing?
that versatile.
Hmm.
Not my thing either. Exactly. It was not my thing. I was just doing it essay. I didn't really think. But then I wanted to do something more versatile. So I started telling stories about my experience. Whatever experience I go through in college, I started telling stories about that. And so my whole curiosity, what I was trying to chase was not views. I was trying to chase if I can make somebody feel something
Okay.
from whatever I have experienced.
Hmm.
It's like,
And what is that? Do you want to inspire them, educate them, make it
No.
relatable for someone to like use it in any way they wanted? What is the
just feel
thought process?
something. Like whatever I've been through for 2 days, can I package that for you in 30 seconds
Hmm.
and make you feel something? Like, okay, I might have gone out with a girl for a prom, and for that 1 second, I might have looked at her and felt like, wow, life is good. And that's what I wanted to feel through my video. Wow, life
That
is
exact emotion or something
good. Yeah, that
similar?
exact emotion.
Right.
Like even for a second, that's all that the goal was.
Right.
So I started experimenting with videos like that, and that started working a lot nicely.
Great.
And then one of the person discovered me in Bangalore. His name was Vyom. Is still Vyom.
Yeah.
And he was he had a very interesting past of like building agencies and stuff. So this was like the first opportunity sort of a thing for me. I was doing editing. So I was obsessed with editing at that time. So I think in terms of editing,
Right.
content in general or marketing in general, emotion, evoking desire. I can see that as a timeline because I have thought on that. It's like you start
Right.
writing on the paper, so you know how to put your thoughts there. Because I started videos on timelines,
Right.
so I imagine it like that.
Crazy.
So
Interesting.
So I was doing editing for few people, and I knew 2-3 more editors from my college. So I would
Mhm.
just like outsource projects to them,
Right.
take my cut, outsource. So like sort of like a cute agency.
And that was your first paycheck.
Yeah, that was not my first paycheck. That was actually at 16.
Okay.
I ran like a PUBG tournament.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I did something similar at 16. I organized a football tournament.
Yay.
Yeah, but like, my economics were different. 2K per team entry, winning team gets 10K. We had 12
Same.
teams, 24K.
Wow.
Same.
Profit of 14. Again, trophies, this, that, ground. I think net I made about 8K.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I did exactly the same thing. So, so he got in touch and we started talking a little bit. And then he was like, you seem interesting. Can you come to Bangalore
Hmm.
for us to explore this? Now, I was already in that mental state that this college is not going anywhere.
Right.
It was very apparent. I don't know how kids still buy that facade.
Which is,
That colleges create. It's very apparent. The management is out of place. They don't know what to do with your placements. And they are not teaching something which actually is required that much right now.
sure. But
They're-
that's been the case for eternity, right? Like, I think even like during my parents' time, probably, if there's 100% that you could extract from a school or a college, probably you're doing 20-25% that's, relevant for out like real world.
Hmm.
Remainder was just stuff that you need to make up with it. But I have a similar thought process too. I think like education in a structured format in institutions, that the way they deliver it is like one of the most outdated and useless things for an entrepreneur. It boxes you into. It's not meant for entrepreneurs. It's meant for workers, I guess.
This guy Mark Twain has a quote which is, "I never let my schooling interrupt my education." I think that summarizes the best.
I never did either. I
Yeah.
never did.
I mean, schooling is the system, college is the system, but education is for life. You're not a learner just for like 2 years, 3 years in a degree.
Fair. On that note, like I think we've heard his story till the first paycheck.
Wow.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
Yours we've heard, actually, I know it, but then if
Please.
you want to like just recap it, keep it brief. No one wants to hear it so much. Like we're here for him more today, but like
Story.
yeah,
Quick
No,
version
I'm
of
very
my story.
interested. I'm very.
Oh, wow, okay. So I grew up in the Middle
you'll be
East.
disappointed.
You'll be disappointed there. Classic Mallu Gulf kid, grew up in Kuwait, in the Middle East. Growing up as a kid, I was just absolutely bang average at everything, right? But as a kid, dude, I would watch cricket matches and I'll be like, why is everybody so excited when MS Dhoni comes up? And why is people like, oh, Virat Kohli is so great. Used to watch football. Messi is so cool. Ronaldo is so cool. I was very inspired by great people. And I was just thinking like, dude, like I would always want to be great. So that was always like my life mission, right? I would always study the successful people. I like, fuck, dude, these guys are so interesting. They're so cool. So I had a lot of drive and ambition back then. When I was a kid, I took that towards sports. So I used to play table tennis. Like I played national level. So for me, it was just this kid where like, so I always felt like I could be good at something. TT was a sport I picked up so naturally. Like I used to play with my brother in the dining table. And even he was like, you just started playing now. And he's like, bro, you're picking this very fast. And I was like, you think I'm good at this? I think good. Like I was just waiting for my first big break and it came. Like, dude, yeah. So in Kuwait, like I played for 3 years. I was unbeaten. Got a lot of records and all over there. Great.
How many players played in Kuwait? Just curious.
Enough. Yeah. At least 30 plus. So yeah. So,
Wow.
but dude,
you
that was
find
just
13 in Ranagar on this street.
wow. But how good are they is the question.
I
but
really
still.
respect people who have gotten the chance to do sport at a young age. I think you have.
I think it's great, dude. It's massive
Like-
character building.
it's unfair advantage in life in general.
It is,
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the
100%.
people will wear out.
For sure.
Dude, so
It's winning and losing. It teaches you
It
winning
is,
and
yeah.
losing every day. So you learn how to recover from adversity.
dude, I think like in particular, I remember. So I used to be the captain of my team, and I used to play the pressure match, which is it's 2-2,
Yeah.
winner takes all match, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I remember it's table tennis board, so I'm at the table. Everybody's looking at me like. So I remember my teammate puked one day in the final match because he was nervous, and I'm like, bro, I'm on the table. What am I gonna
I
do?
just thought because he was with you.
Wow. So
For people who think this is unfair, I have this equation with him where I keep razzing him. I think this has been going on for like 4-5 years.
we know each other for a while. yes.
Yeah.
We'll come
so
to first income.
No.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will.
So, yeah.
Oh, was the first thing? Was I related to that?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. Okay, let's get
You
into
were?
it.
We will. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, you
This
worked
one-
here.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Barely.
my origin story.
Barely.
Yes.
Barely. 1 year almost. Now.
No, but I still want to know your like entire story at
Yeah,
stretch.
please.
Can we do that?
For
Sorry,
sure.
I'm
At
sorry
stretch,
for
like,
interrupting.
no date.
I have to like just control my urge to make
Yeah,
shots at you.
please.
Yeah, I will.
Kidding, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, dude. I mean, for me it was table tennis. So I think why table tennis was the massive part of my character arc. So like I was saying, I used to play this pressure match, and I remember, dude, everybody else was like looking at me. So in Kuwait, the narrative was DPS popular school. Every other school hates DPS. So it was like, everybody supported me because I was just not DPS. I was in Bhavans. So, dude, I remember at that time I was playing this match with one guy who was actually better than me. It was like 2-2 set score, 7-7 both. Basically, DPS has never lost, and we were the teams that were challenging them. Dude, everybody was supporting me. I kind of have goosebumps talking about this. Everybody was like, dude, Vidhu, you can do this, you can do this. My teammate, I'm looking at them for support. One guy's biting his nails. One guy, like, he's outside, and I'm like, bro, where is he? He's like, he's puking and all that stuff. And I remember this moment where the other coach called timeout. So he calls Somdeep, the other player, and he tells him a lot of stuff. And the fun thing is, he's looking at me. He's talking to his player here, and he's looking at me, and he's giving me like eye contact. He's trying to intimidate me. And I go to like my PT sir, like, sir, what do I do? I'm so scared and all. He's like, day, chill. That's literally his advice. He plays hockey. He's like, no clue what he's doing. He's just a PE sir. And I remember at that time I had to make a choice. I'm like, which kind of guy am I? Am I the guy who's going to like let the nerves get the best of me? Or am I the guy who's going to step up to the plate? And I made a decision, I'm going to step up to the plate. It was 7-7. Long story short, I won 11-7. After that, those points came so effortless to me. And it was very like, that was such a moment where I threw the bat on the table. I ran at my teammates. Everybody was celebrating. Hallelujah, all that stuff. But for me, that was like a taste of like what it felt like to achieve something which even I thought was impossible. So table tennis was a huge part of my life. Continued that career for a while. So I was also like, relationship. I was in a long relationship that time. So yeah, that's where it always goes bad. I think it's good necessary evil, right?
Character arc.
It was, yeah. So I was with this girl for 5 years, and just before we went to college, we broke up. For me, a lot of my identity was tied around her. I literally felt like I was nobody without this particular person,
So relatable.
right? So then, dude, for example, I was like, I could not play table tennis after that because I'm like, normally I'm so used to playing and then going and texting her saying, hey, dude, I won, whatever. And that gave me that motivation. And I'm just like, oh, I can't play anymore, but whatever. So I had to stint with depression for like almost a good 3 months, 6 months, like before I went to university. So I went to the university in UK, completely new country, no friends, nothing. It was like a time where I was actually really depressed internally, but I was like, one day I just woke up and realized this is the biggest opportunity I ever have. Because I used to feel like I was a nobody. But then I realized, bro, if you're nobody, you can actually be anybody. That was just one day I just woke up and started feeling that way. That changed everything, dude. So I studied a degree in accountancy. Horrible, horrible choice for me. Like I was just following the similar route. If you're doing commerce, you have to be a CA, right? So I was doing that and I had absolutely zero interest to go to class, right? But dude, that's when the internet saved my life. So like, just go onto YouTube. I started watching Gary Vee. That's the first thing you see. Oh shit, like you can do that. And then I was super inspired by Tom Bellew. So I saw these guys and I'm like, they're all entrepreneurs. Hey, this entrepreneurship thing sounds pretty cool. So I was in a business school. So we had this module where we had to prepare our own business idea. Dude, I went super deep into it. Like I was with full passion pitching the idea. I came up with it. I was that guy. There was a 5 people team. I did everything. And the other four were just like piggybacking, and we won the competition also. So then my professor was like, "Hey Vidu, we love the business idea." And I was like, "Cool." I'm like, "I got the A, right?" And he's like, "What's next?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What's next?" I finished the project. He's like, "No, you have to start this business." And like, it's actually really good. And I was like, "You think so?" This was the same moment like I felt in table tennis. Wait, you think I have a shot at this? Because my identity was always a sports player. So I was like, you know what? Let me do. I was like, what do I do next? He's like, just cold email a lot of people. I was like, no, cold email done. I wrote like some essays to 100 people. Some random CEO of a company in US replies. And so he's in a similar space. And he was like, oh, dude, this is pretty interesting. Like, I would love to like invest in you. Got on a meet call with him. So I had a PowerPoint deck. My laptop was here. The deck was printed all around my table. In case he asked me, cash flow? Yeah, cash flow's here. And it's absolutely shit cash flow. Don't ask any questions about it, right? It's just a college kid trying something. But for 4 days, I was a business owner. Like I felt like, dude, this was my idea. It felt like so like invigorating. It was such a thrill in life. Like for the first time outside table tennis, I felt like, dude, this is so like, dude, adrenaline rush. It was amazing. Ultimately spoke with this guy. He was like, hey, I see a lot of potential in you. I want to invest in you. Like I'll expand my company to the UK. You run it. And I was like, me, 20-year-old kid, seriously? And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, you have the potential. He's like, I'll coach you for 6 months. I'll do all this stuff. So I remember telling my mom and dad about this, and they're like, you can do this, but change your last name, right? They were like, there's no way you should be doing something like this. Like, how will you drop out of college and do this? Are you crazy, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm stupid. Like, why would I even do this thing? Ultimately, also there was visa issues. Like, I can't start a business in UK, whatever. So that fizzled out. But still, I chased the thrill of that, 4 days of being an entrepreneur. So combined with this journey where I literally felt like I can be anybody who I want to be. I got super, super heavy into content consumption. So that's when I was like, even once I'm done with UK. So, dude, when I was in the UK, all my friends would go to class, they would study well. They're like, I want to go to PwC, I want to go to EY. And I was like, fuck that. Like, I just knew I did not want a corporate life. Like, I never experienced it, but I just knew that's not for me. Right. So, I even remember like going for job applications, one specific. There was a company called RCI. So, I'd gone for like the interview. I knew one thing, which is I can't do the test, dude. I can't do that maths test that they make you do before. I'm like, if I get to the interview, I know I'll get it because I know I can sell it to them on the spot. Dude, I went for the interview. I went there. Everybody's dressed up in tuxedos and super formal stuff. And I'm this anti-corporate guy. I was just wearing sneakers. I wore jeans. I wore a shirt. And I remember my friend and was like, bro, take a tie. And I said, tie? Why? I'm like, if they want me to wear a tie, I won't work here. I was a rebel. The weirdest thing was that day, I crushed everything. So I'll tell you, we had like a sales page. We had to pitch something, whatever. I killed it on every assignment, okay? Everybody end of the day was like, bro, give me your LinkedIn because I know you'll get the job. If I get the job, I want to know. So like, I'll ask if you got it, whatever. They were so sure. And I was like, dude, I was on cloud nine. Dude, they never responded to me because I was Indian passport. Irrespective of that, but for me, that was like I felt like I was playing somebody else's game. And that's when more the entrepreneur thing kicked in. I'm like, dude, fuck this shit. Like, I'll do it on my own. So that's when I was like motivated to do my own thing. So everybody was like, if you go to UK, you should stay back there, right? I came back to India. I was like, it's kind of a downgrade in lifestyle. And I was like, hey, I'm ready to explore. So I was like, I want to start my own business. Absolutely no idea what business I want to start. So I was like, hey, let me do a job. Like, I realized that marketing and sales is the crux of everything. I felt like I could talk. I felt like sales would come a bit more naturally. Marketing, blue ocean, I have no clue. So I applied to this very, very, very small agency on AngelList, right? So basically, I went to AngelList looking for jobs. There was this agency. I checked the website, by the way. Trash. Don't even talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
but the
agree.
thing is, right? When I saw the copy on the website,
Hmm.
I felt like I was reading what Gary Vee wrote. There was a bit of a click. Instantly go send an email. I think it was a bad cold email. Again, would have been long. Nobody, I didn't know
Yeah, it
better.
was very long.
Hey, I still got the job. So sent an email. That's how I met Saanand. So I think I'd come in on like a Monday or a Tuesday, right? And I had absolutely no idea. I think I remember telling you also, which is you were like, what do you want to do here? And I was like, I'll do anything. And I remember my objective was I just want to learn, right? I'll do whatever you want, throw me at anything. I just want to learn over here. And yeah, started working here on Virality. That was my first like proper income.
Really?
that?
You didn't make any money for that? I thought you waited tables at Reading and all that.
Oh
Reading
yeah,
FC,
fair.
Premier League.
Yeah. So I mean, so in the UK for 3 years, I worked like every weekend, like part-time jobs there. So I mean, I think that's more like I would consider part-time income, but that was massive character building, dude. I think I learned people that time. So I've also been
Waiting
super
tables.
fascinated with people. Yeah, dude. Like, so
You serve some celebs, right?
served some. I mean, I was in vicinity of celebs. You won't put the brown guy with the celeb. Let's be real, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, like, dude, I remember like just so ultimately for us, right? So I used to work in Ascot. Ascot is a place where these rich British people with the monocle and all that stuff come, and it's horse racing. They bet on horse racing. Dude, I was always a hustler. So I was like, these guys basically, you get them drunk, they'll tip you more. I know this insight now after my first shift. If I can give them tips on what will work, then they'll win. Indian people are way more smarter than other countries, is what I've realized. So, dude, I used to go to my shift early, and there'll be a guy who'll write tips on the board. Tips is basically this newspaper thinks this horse will win. And I would just go and, hey, what horse you think will win today? Acting as if I know everything about horses. No clue. He would give me a list, write the list on my phone, and I'll go to like my private box where I was a butler, and I'll be like, dude, this horse is looking amazing. You guys should bet on it. And they'll be like, they'll call me V because they can't say Vidu. They'll be like, you think so, V? Cool, you know what? Here's 50 pounds. Go bet like 40 on that horse. And here's the thing, I pocket 10. They don't ask for it because that place is very bougie. I'll go pocket 10. Surprise, surprise, that horse wins. Now they make 300 pounds. And they'll be like, hey, Vidu, dude, you did it. We love you. Oh my God. What are the other races to bet on? 4 out of 6 they would typically win. They think I'm this prodigy kid who knows everything about horse racing. Zero clue. Then they would tip me like fucking crazy at the end. So that's how I used to hustle back then only. But then you understood like what gets people going.
Why didn't you bet yourself if you had that information?
One, we were not allowed to bet. We had to bet in person. It's not like online betting. So we were like, we were wearing the
You're
waiter
working, so
outfit
you
and all.
can't.
Yeah.
So you knew the insides basically.
I mean, I didn't know the insights. I just knew somebody who knew the insights. And after a while, dude, you realize there are patterns to it.
You traded information.
Yeah. So I would just have to go to my shift 20 minutes early, get this information, and then this guy makes me look like a hero. And they think I'm like this pundit and stuff. People have taken my number and be like, next race, you tell me, I'll book for it. And I have
So
to just
that's
block
somewhere
them.
the
because I don't know the thing. Yeah.
So that's from where the hustle comes.
The hustle was always there, dude. Yeah. So I mean, I was always very driven in what I was doing. So that motivation to still be great in what I did was always there, right? So even now, dude, I'm in a pursuit of finding that greatness. So 27 years into the pursuit, but yeah, more to go.
Interesting. So the first paycheck was with us actually.
First proper paycheck, yeah.
That was an intern paycheck. You were an
It
intern,
was,
over
yeah.
there, right?
I mean, I don't think the full-time paycheck was amazing, but yeah, it's not like whoa. Yeah, it's like whoa, damn, yeah. But I mean, for me, I think the real income was the learning, like genuinely, which is like I think even like you can attest for this also. Like, dude, we used to. My favorite moment working Virality was never the work. It was like me, Saanand, Karan, and Balu would sit after 7 o'clock. I remember one day in the old office, we would order fasos, sit food we would eat, and we would just like work on a lot of pitches. But we learned so much that time. Like it was just like raw, like effort and hunger and this thing. Dude, I learned the most like at that time, yeah. So I worked in
Even
Virality
now?
for a year. Huh?
Even now?
Of course, yeah, the
Oh,
learnings
wow.
and stuff. But yeah. I
No,
mean, that
learning
was
learning compounds, but
yeah. I mean, it was a good like start, right? I mean, I think here also you gave the opportunity to channel that drive.
Right.
So like I would be like, hey, dude, sales, and you just gave me like a Google sheet with leads.
Yeah.
Call. And I was like, cool. Like I never was like, why am I calling? Oh shit, right? So that was like a good opportunity to learn. So I think that's when it started. But then again, the entrepreneurial bug kicked in.
But does everyone have it? Like, have you seen more people with that kind of mindset, attitude? Like, were you like this, who was always looking for an opportunity and you didn't mind like what came your way, you picked it up and figured what you do with it?
I think that's the only thing which separates you, because I have a very bad habit of saying yes to almost everything.
Right.
Right.
I just say yes and then later regret.
Was this
Like,
podcast? Was this
why do I have to
podcast?
go there? I'm already late at this meeting. Like,
Yeah.
shit. So at that time as well, I told you the last thing that we left at,
Yeah.
that we were on this call, and on Friday he asked that would you want to come to Bangalore?
Right.
And I was like,
So how did he find you? He found you on Instagram, on Reels, right? It was a year ago.
this was a year ago.
Yeah. I think it was
Exactly.
around time when I met Vyom for the first time as well.
Is it?
Yeah. He was working with somebody who was a client here.
Akshay Kalpa.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he used to work with Banjan. Banjan was our client. So Banjan then started something, and then I remember Vyom was part
What
of
were
it.
you guys doing with Akshay Kalpa?
We were doing the growth. They launched an app. They had to launch the app into the market and get users to subscribe into the app and like to recharge and put money into the wallet, etc. Back then, I think it was the first that type of a client that we had. So yeah, Vidu actually got the client.
I got the
first.
client.
Vidu
Good
went.
intern, dude.
Yeah, but that also I think came out of what? Just the same attitude, right? Where I think there was an event for one of our other clients, which I had just given to Vidu at that time to
It's
test.
a reset, right? Yeah.
To test if he can like manage it or not.
Let me tell what happened. Basically, one of our clients, Reset, had a farmer's market. And I am the social media guy who has to go cover it. And I can't do the shooting stuff. But I just went there anyway. So that's when Akshay Kalpa was there. And no, I think Farm Made was there.
Yeah.
That's how it happened. Yeah.
So he met one brand, bought them in. We worked with them for a month. Then they realized they don't need our services. But he felt bad that he was going away. So he said, hey, I know somebody else who might be able to, who might need your work. So he said, cool. And he bought them over. And that was Akshay Kalpa. And that was the kind of the first sort of brand that we worked on that mandate. So yeah, indirectly Vidu bought it in. But I think Vidu is attributed to Vidu. So that came because I think I just sent you there. You didn't have the requisite skill to do what is required, but you still said, fuck it, I'll go and I'll figure.
Yeah.
And you just figured.
Yeah.
And
I think, dude,
benefited.
that's the mentality. Just you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has to know everything. Just do it like, fuck it, what's it gonna take?
So you just said yes, basically.
I think
You
action
could
comes
say
first.
I was wired in.
Well,
I was-
thanks for the plug-in.
That was like a little bit more riskier.
Yeah.
Like I had, I think 18,000 in my bank account at that time, because the life was very much like my dad would pay me for me to stay there in Mumbai and college and everything. And all the money that I was making was like, so I have like 60, 70, 80K per month from the clients that I would get. And that was like pure cash, nobody else to pay, just to fuck around, do stupid shit. So I would like book BMWs, just go to trips, just have fun, just go to Goa 3 times a month.
Wow. How much money was this?
60, 70K per month. Video editing. So I was really into it. I loved editing videos, and it was so easy, like genuinely at that time.
And you also had like these freelancers that you were also giving work to,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you
So
probably
there
made
was
money
a
on
cut.
commission.
Yeah.
Right.
So 2-3 people I knew from my college. So all I did go to college for was to find talent.
Right. Wow.
Acquisition. I would go and be like, okay, who is interested in this? And let me find, and I would just put them in a list, and like make a group out of it, and just put gigs which are coming my way, and like ask them, are you interested in this? I'll close this and give it to you. And I'll keep my cut for it. So I loved sales and I loved video editing, basically. And at that time, video editing was not what it is today.
Right.
It was retardedly easy. Like I was very much into like retention and all this stuff. These guys ask, so Scalar would ask us to like cut a 20-minute video into a 15-minute video. Like
Right.
pay 5,000 for that. So I'm like 15 minutes skip.
Done, yeah.
Done. Simple.
But that's still hustle, dude. Yeah.
But
No.
yeah, but I think it's a time when people, it's not actually too long ago, right? 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
This was
2020?
1.5 years ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's like,
dude, that's like recent. Yeah.
Very
that's
recent.
just like, I'm thinking in my mind 6 quarters.
Yeah,
Six
that's-
quarters, yeah.
It's very nearby. Yeah.
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 So I was doing that, and then this guy asks on Friday that when can you come to Bangalore? And I was like, okay, I don't have a class on Monday. I'll come on Monday. So I like on the Zoom call, I'm like opening Skyscanner and looking for the flights. I'm like, yeah, I can book this one. And then I have a friend in Bangalore who's studying in Christ. So I'm like, okay, I can pay
Stay with
6K for the flight. 6K I can return. I can stay with him. And worst comes to worst, it's a shit experience. And just I had to go through it. I learn.
So that's how you came to Bangalore?
Yeah.
And you stayed since?
So I came for 3 months. Initially, I came here and I was just testing it out. And in a week, I'm like, okay, this is a disaster.
So what were you doing the first, like when you came in, like what is the agenda? Why did he just call you? Because you made good videos?
Basically,
That's it. Yeah.
videos that go viral.
So
basically,
according to you, okay, great. So this is very interesting. Was the skill that you understood how to conceptualize a video, or was it because you edited a video very well, or you did
So-
both?
and audiences. So it was like I could do everything. And the big thing that I didn't know at that time is how to delegate work.
Hmm.
Because it was very straightforward to me. So one thing which I feel marketers lose touch of eventually is the audiences. Because the audiences that they are trying to reach to, they don't talk to them. You don't
Yeah.
know them. And one unfair advantage that I had over other people, I didn't even know marketing, man. I didn't know marketers as a thing. I didn't even know what I was doing was marketing.
Right.
I was just selling through videos. That's it. And I knew TG very well. I knew the audiences that these companies are trying to sell, because there was this trend of Gen Z is the new market. You should try to sell to Gen Zs because they will eventually buy bigger products of you and stuff like that. So because I had understanding of that because of being in college, and I knew how to make videos, that was an interesting mix.
Very interesting.
But the challenge was that I couldn't really work on like a full-fledged, like a
Campaign?
mandate. Yeah, I couldn't, because I was the only one who knew how to do this. Plus, teaching was extremely hard because there was
Yeah.
the way I understood things was intuition. I was like, you give me an idea that you want to sell this, and I would come up with like an idea of, I know how to tell stories on the internet. I know PR. Basically, I know
Publicity.
Yeah, publicity. I know publicity, and publicity is like sequential. It's like you tell some information and you build on that information. So it's not like story inside the video. It's like you're trying to create an image and create so much desire, and this should seem like the solution, basically.
Got it. So, but did you, but like, very interesting that we're going into this, but if Instagram didn't exist, could you use your skills for something else? Like, assume YouTube and Instagram video platforms don't exist. Could you still figure out a way to reach the masses and sell what you have to sell?
I would speak on the stage.
Hmm.
I would just
Right.
talk.
Public speaking.
Even still in the meetings, whenever we ideate, I ask them, okay, don't think of this as a video. You get 30 seconds to talk to 100 people
How do
on
you
a
do it?
podium every single day.
Hmm.
And you have to communicate.
Right.
What will you speak?
Got it.
That's how we think.
Nice. Nice.
So he called, and in a week I'm like, this is a disaster. It's like, what is happening and stuff. It's like, okay, so I'm one thing that I have, and this might sound childish, but I have a foundational belief that I need people to be in a positive sum game.
Hmm.
I cannot tolerate people
Who
who
are
pull each
negative?
other.
Yeah.
I just can't. If I genuinely don't feel like that you want me to win and I want you to win,
Hmm.
I don't want to be in the
But
room.
a lot of people of your generation are like this way. Like they are positive. They are lot more camaraderie. I think a lot more empathy. You want to grow together, win together. There
In
is
my
a
age,
yeah. Do you think so?
I don't know a lot of people of my age anymore. That's the challenge. Like the last time I knew was when I was in college. And ever since, the youngest person that I know is 25.
Hmm. Okay.
I know
That's-
my students,
it's a
but I
good
don't
thing.
get to talk to them a lot.
So one of the last podcasts I did was with Narpat, who you guys know. And Narpat, one of the things I told Narpat was that I couldn't wait to grow up as a kid. So when I was, for example, in class 6 at the age of 12, my friends were 14 in class 9. And when I was Then I had people 2 years older than me. Generally, my cousins also were quite older than me. So I didn't have too many friends other than my classmates of my age. I had everyone older. And he said a very interesting thing. He said it's a common trait among successful people that they can't wait, or they, by circumstance or by desire, end up with people who are older than them. And that pulls you, because at the end of the day, you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with the most. So
that is true.
if they're older, then that's the average that influences you, and then you tend to sort of grow.
You mature faster.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
I feel
Correct.
like I don't really want to grow up faster. I want to be around you people because you just have a lot more ideas. You have experience. But I would still might be interested in talking to a younger person more, because my pursuit is to try to become younger and younger.
Okay.
I personally have that philosophy. I
Right.
feel like old people can teach you a lot of experience of what they have seen the
Right.
industry to be,
And you want to use that.
but innovation is youth.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's like
100%.
I every single time I get fascinated when a 17-year-old, he could be talking utter bullshit. He might have no clue how to actually see it through. No discipline, no actual patience to see it through. But the idea is something that we can't imagine.
Agreed.
It like broadens your horizons.
Agreed.
More raw.
I'm trying to be as childish
Yeah.
as possible,
Yeah.
as honest, as free,
No inhibitions.
as happy.
Right.
Yeah. Just living life without any hesitation.
Right. Fair. Very interesting.
Don't want to grow old. I don't want to grow old.
So you made a very interesting point that you like to spend time with older people. Is it because you don't find like-minded thinking among people of your age?
I think it's not even a liking anymore. It's just the things that I like, older people only like it. People my age are not into stuff like that. They get bored.
Right.
They want to go out on Saturday. I want to go out on Saturday as well, but then talk about this.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm a little bit David Goggins in this thing, because I can't really have my peers to be completely destructive and be okay with it. I can't have them making decisions which I can't stand with,
Right.
and I still hang out with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's like
Like, is
challenging.
there an example like of what is that type of a behavior? Being pessimistic, maybe being negative. Is that what you mean, or is it more deeper
I
than
think
that?
it's more like ambition. I think if the people, let's say your friends circle, if they're always talking about drinking, partying, and all that stuff,
Is that
right?
the thing?
Not just drinking and partying. I think they're very short-sighted. I
Yeah.
think they have no awareness of how long life really is.
Right.
It's
So
like
you think they make decisions that are
very
beneficial
short,
and bought
very instant
short run.
gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to gratify themselves instantly. They have no sense of there's long-term relationships, and the things that you do outlast your existence. There's
Right.
impact around you.
Right.
And I'm trying to live for I'm thinking next 40 years. I'm here because I want to live next 40 years.
And
It's not transactional.
right.
I feel like you and me are the same.
Yeah, we've had that discussion briefly on
Yes.
that Saturday night. So I guess,
Yeah.
or a Friday night. I forgot what it was. Friday night. Few weeks back.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, when you introduced us.
Mhm.
So I agree. But is that more from like? There's a lot of thoughts I have. But is it because you have this North Pole or this very long-term vision that
Mhm.
you have, and maybe the others, your peers, have not found it yet? So maybe they are still in search.
If I'm being honest, even I don't know my vision.
Hmm.
I keep I know my vision. I don't know I can't quantify it.
Right.
It's very in this moment
But
kind
you
of
have a feeling. But you have a feeling that thinking long term, valuing relationship, thinking positive, etc., will lead you in the right path. You have
that's
that feeling.
experience. It's so objective. The same thing that he said right now. There was this moment where he was like, am I going to be this person who gives this up or actually give my best? And I'll tell you, so the biggest thing which keeps people away from doing anything good or being happy is how they are controlled. And people are controlled by them limiting themselves.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that actually controls. So there's this trend right now to talk about the system and how there's
Matrix.
people controlling a matrix and
Yeah.
Illuminati and stuff, which is all okay. But the biggest thing people are controlled by is their own limitations. It's
Yeah.
this narrative that there's talent and there's I understand there's privilege. I understand all those things, but everybody in their given situation, if they believe, it's so possible. It's insane. Maybe it might sound like I'm tripping on acid, but not really.
No.
I genuinely think if you can imagine vividly,
Hmm.
really see it, you don't even need to move a finger.
Right.
Your
Fair.
body will move in that direction.
Fair.
It just happens.
I agree with you.
The biggest thing that you lose is belief. Because when you wake up in the morning, you have an option, right?
Yeah.
Go for a run or don't do it and drink coffee. Both things will get you energized.
Right.
Why do you pick coffee?
Easy.
easy, and you don't have the belief. You don't believe that you can be what you want to be.
Right.
You don't believe you can be fit again. You don't believe you can do that again.
Right.
Look so great. You think you need coffee.
Yeah.
I
fair.
don't.
I'm
That's why I'm
assuming.
trying to be younger.
Okay.
I just want to believe harder.
Nice. You subscribe to a lot of that, I guess, because I know you and your mindset. You're a mentality monster.
Mentality monster. Wow.
Isn't that a term? Isn't that like it's a term used in sport a lot? Your team uses it, Liverpool.
I'm not a Liverpool fan, but
I thought you were a Liverpool fan.
you're talking about Richie.
No, that he's too, but I thought you were also one.
I'm a Plastic City fan.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
You Gulf.
Plastic, but it's okay.
Anyway, sport banter. But yeah, but you subscribe to that. You think there's a lot of. I remember having a chat with you many years ago at one point when you were thinking whether you were supposed to go to US for masters or not. Then I persuaded you over one evening to not.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
And then
Thank you for doing that.
yeah, and then I think you decided to then stay back and do what you were doing.
I mean, my decision to even, let's say, it was to go abroad to study was also just because I was confused.
Right.
I mean, I did not actually, I deep down knew I didn't want to do it.
Right.
But then, like, you go home, your parents are like, hey, you have to
What
go
next?
for masters, MBA. So that influences you because I was confused. It's not like I had something good to come back with. Right. And I think, I mean, there were a lot of factors like that influenced my thought process. So I was like, hey, should I just do this? Also, it was the comparison. I lived in the UK, then coming back to Bangalore to some degree was a downgrade. Like I knew nobody in Bangalore. I was sitting at home. So that's why I was like, oh, I need to go abroad again. But then I think deep down I knew that, like, let's say doing my own thing, starting a business is the tougher route. But I think that's the best route to take. Like I think the journey is the fun part. Like I still like, so when I started it was Feb is when I left Virality.
Yeah.
March is when COVID hit, the first wave. And I was alone in my house and I hate being alone. So I'm like, I think you both said you both are like more quieter and this thing.
No, I mean, I like a balance, to be very honest, but I think I need my alone time a certain number of hours a day, to be very honest,
I love
to be
being
able to
alone.
think.
I think I can
True.
be alone for a disgustingly long time.
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite. So I grew up massively extroverted. Like I was the guy who will just be like the leader of the group. Everything, I was the guy. I've become more introverted over time now. Because now I more enjoy
Do you
like
think being alone leads to introvertedness?
No. I think I define introvertedness as more like you get energy from it.
I think being introverted, extroverted, it is a function of being comfortable. I think comfortable alone versus comfortable
Oh, this
with
is making
people.
me nervous,
What?
actually.
Which
Oh,
is
wow.
So I am right now, this is why I like to meet new people and like
Right.
really listen to them.
to like
because-
challenge yourself.
that's it. So right
But
now,
but what about it is
So,
making you nervous?
before
Is
you
this sitting
started
with
the
Vidu?
camera, no, not really. It's like,
Vidhu, man.
Come on.
not you guys. How
Of
do I
course.
put this? Okay, so before you started the camera, I was like a lot more clear. I'm
Right.
like fumbling a lot more right now, and I'm like trying to like relax.
It's okay.
So
Part
it's,
and parcel.
perception.
so it's not I'm not afraid. I'm not
Yeah.
afraid at all. It's just, how do I put this, man? It's like I'm really trying to listen, and it's like
Mm.
You're
it's going-
conscious,
yeah, I'm really trying to be here and not think of anything else.
right?
Like-
Don't. It's fine. Like,
Yeah.
Don't try that. It's okay if you
Yeah.
like zone out. It's fine. We'll
No,
come back.
I don't want to.
We'll cut that off. That's a beauty, right, of the
I don't
camera.
want
We
to,
can
I
like
don't want to. I really want to be here. That's it.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were saying
What was I saying?
about mentality and
I mean,
you
I
being
think
alone
mindset
and
matters a lot, yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's
Like-
everything.
Yeah, so I think even for me, to the life-changing thing that I learned from Tom Billy was this concept of growth mindset, which is basically a lot of people, like you said, they operate with a fixed mindset.
Right.
Like they believe they are, like, this is who I am, this is all I can do, right? But ultimately, dude, if you act, like you said, you have to start with belief. I can do this thing, right? You just put the action towards it, it can happen.
Right.
But the first step is actually believing that it's possible, right? Like you said, the limitation is you. If you think you can't do it, 100% you can't do it, no doubt, right? There's a quote, I think Einstein said, don't attribute to him. If you believe you can and can't do it, you are right. Either way, doesn't matter. So you might as well believe, hey, you know what, I can do it. Right? You look at, let's say, McGregor, insane confidence, insane thing, right? And dude, that led him to be like a massive, the first double champ and everything.
I think that's the
For sure.
biggest thing that that's the biggest challenge that's like the number one thing that I'm trying to solve right now. So I feel like personally as a human being, every few months you pick like a new thing to conquer.
Right.
Chase, yeah.
So to have this kind of conviction in whatever you do, you need that sense of oomph about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? That sense of sexiness. Yes, that I can do this. I got this.
Mm.
And pride is sitting just next to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be prideful ever.
Mm.
Because it's like every single time I have experienced a fall in my life, I can retrace it to pride.
Right.
Even if I
Mm.
told you the not going for a run kind of thing,
Right.
if you or any of us get unhealthy tomorrow
Mhm.
and catch a disease, you can backtrace it to you being prideful enough to not go for a run.
Got it. Would you term
How do
that
you-
as pride or complacency?
I think it's pride.
Because there's a very good thing you said. You said at every 3 months you try to conquer something new, right? I think as you get older, somewhere that goes away and it turns into perfection. Like you have probably picked. Like I'm somewhere there in life right now where I pick things that I want to do and not do. Now I want to perfect those things, and I've realized that I can't do everything under the sun and the moon because I have limitations, I have responsibilities, etc., etc. So now I pick and choose and say, okay, I go deep into these things. So for me, it's complacency where you think you have done it all and you don't need to try harder. And I have those moments once in a while.
So you thinking that you don't need to try harder is pride.
Correct. You're comfortable.
If you're
Yeah, for sure.
Are you willing to go pick up the bricks with me and make a wall right now? Are you? If you do, then you can. It's like the less inflated your sense of self is, the more you'll be okay to keep doing it.
Right.
But once you're like, no, I'm healthy, I'm good, I have money, things are good, like it's comfortable, let me just chill for a while. That's what pride is.
Yeah, fair.
That's what the challenge is. Like, how do you have that sense of sexiness about yourself but not have pride?
So it's ego, right?
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line?
Where do you have the ego that I can do anything, but like also have sense of realism? It's like, I can do everything, but I need to put in the work to do it.
I'll tell you something interesting. There was a study done on successful people. They're trying to break down what are the core traits that they have. So 2 things that they have. One is they have a superiority complex. They think they're better than everybody else. And guess what? The second thing they have is crippling anxiety.
In successful people?
Yeah. So they were saying is that they think the same thing. Dude, I can do anything. I'm this shit. I'm that guy. And they also go like, I'm not really sure. Like, it's imposter syndrome, basically, right? The thing is, these both kind of keep you in level. They coexist. I think they're like necessary evils that you need to like balance out.
So challenging. It's like the equilibrium is everything. It's like for you to believe that I can take on any challenge and like recreate everything that I want.
At the same time, being honest with yourself
Humble
that
enough.
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. Life is in the balance, no doubt about it.
Mm.
I want to go deeper into these 2 things, what you said and what you said, but we'll take a quick break and then revert back to it. Getting back into this, right? I think the question I want to ask is like, let's start with.
Recording?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
We've been recording for the whole time.
Okay, damn.
It's all
Exposed.
exposed.
Kabir
Vidhu,
exposed.
the real-
Sells out. I'm kidding. Okay, that's the title.
Yeah.
Now you know
So-
we work on marketing. Yeah.
So,
Right.
let's start with this Instagram. Let's start with you this time. Like, what age did you get on Instagram?
I got on Instagram at 18,
Okay,
right
let's-
after 12th standard.
Slightly go back. First social platform that
Orkut.
social media. Oh, okay. Age.
I don't remember. Maybe 12, 13.
That's a little late. I mean, is that the age that you also got into social media? Age, like not the platform, but the age.
I think it was like 8, 9.
Oh wow.
8,
Okay, let's
9,
talk about that. So, what was the first platform?
Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook like just began.
Email ID?
I think it's the same. Kabir Maini 19 at the rate Gmail.
At the age
Gmail.
of? No, at the age of?
8, 9.
Okay.
So how do I have the email ID?
What age did you make your first email ID?
The same time, like I was trying to log into Facebook, so I made one Gmail.
Right.
as well.
Got it. So I made my first at 11, 12 email ID. And that was because my dad forced me and he said, "This you cannot imagine that, right? You cannot not have a email ID." And
Great.
funny enough, my granddad took me through MSN for the first time.
Oh.
Right? He's no more, but I think he was maybe in his 60s back then. Because he knew email, because he would email my aunt who's been in Miami, America since 80s, late 80s, I guess. So they would communicate on email because it is the most efficient medium back then. ISD calls charged cost a bomb. So he would do it and he got me into it. I did it and I hated it because I felt MSN was a clutter. Like you didn't like the UI, so you didn't want to use it. I shifted, I think I was on Yahoo for a while. I don't know what happened to that ID, but funny enough, Gmail came along and I think you had to get an invite from your friend to be on it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was only on invite basis.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
the cool kids in school got Gmail and then you were left out. It took me like 5 months, but I got my Gmail invite from somebody. And then you get 5 invites, so you can send it out to people.
Oh, okay.
So you would spread it out. Yeah, that's how Gmail started initially.
Like, I was on Hotmail.
I think I created Hotmail for a while. I think it's linked to MSN, is it?
Yeah.
Right? So I went to Yahoo from there. I had Hotmail first, went to Yahoo, then went to Gmail. And then I stayed in Gmail, I mean, all through. I still have that ID, which I
feel
created
like
it.
Yahoo and Hotmail people are psychopaths.
Well,
I mean,
wouldn't.
yeah.
No, but
Now,
I think Gmail was cleaner, better as a platform, and is just more user friendly. And as a result, you just got onto it, and it's changed since then, but it's still the same. Like I can still go back and look at the emails I sent out to my friends at 9th grade. So you know what we used to do? We had an email thread. I still have it on my chain.
Wow.
Okay, 75 emails forwarded one after the other with different people. It was like a group chat because your email was a group chat. We didn't have group chat options. And we had like 3-member, 4-member chat groups on chat, which came along later. And we would all come back from work. And if you wanted to still talk to your friends, you had an option of calling them up, and that would cost you. Or you would connect your 128 kbps, dial-up connection.
Yeah.
And we would just chat with each other on that. And invariably, every 10 minutes, somebody's connection would go. And you would wait for them and get back on. And we would do stuff like that, which naturally led into us having our first hi-fi profile. I don't know if you guys know what hi-fi is. So hi-fi was this fucking social... Joel's sitting and laughing there. He's like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? But yeah, Joel's not too old either. You're 25? 26? Okay, Vidu, you're older. So we were basically... it was like a very colorful, fancy page. It had, I think, a feature of dark mode. So you could have black... Or it was like a lot of themes in it. Like you could choose colors and what kind of profiles you wanted. And it is like, the scrapbook that you would have in school. I don't know if you guys ever had scrapbooks.
Yeah.
I had you had scrapbook.
I didn't have a scrapbook. I was cooler.
Okay. Oh, well, I still have my scrapbook, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So because a scrapbook was this thing that you got to class and then you circulated around and
Other
people would fill.
sign it.
Yeah. And they would answer questions about you and stuff like that. Leave. It's like a yearbook kind of thing. I had one with Garfield on it, I remember. It was pink though for some reason. Anyway, and that was not orange basically. So the Garfield's orange, right?
Garfield's orange.
Yeah. So strange reason. It was a pink Garfield. I don't know.
Okay.
So point is like so it was a replica of what a scrapbook would look like, and then you had your interests and you could pick. I still remember my profile picture was Ryan Giggs. United legendary football player.
Yeah.
So he was, I think, longest serving, and he was a left-footed player. I was left-footed. I am left-footed. I played on the left flank for my school team. So natural relatability, I did that. And then people started to say, hey, there's this new thing called Orkut. And people started to leave. And no one wanted to be on hi-fi because Orkut was perceived to be this cool thing for some reason, right? And people left. So as a result, you had to leave. Because in Orkut, you could create groups, you could create clubs. I think clubs...
Scraps were the thing. You scrap on people's wall.
Was it?
Yeah. Orkut had scraps, I think, where you could I could post something, let's say, you know how your status update on Facebook. They had an equivalent where I can just put a public message on your feed. Scraps. My mom was on Orkut. That's how I got into Orkut.
Oh, well. I think that trend came in. I think we went on Orkut. A lot of people started coming in. Older people started coming in. So we would create groups there. Like if you hated someone in school, you would create a group saying we all hate this guy or this girl and or this class or this subject. And people bonded on interest, and you could fill up things. And there were a lot of interesting games that you could spend time on, like just playing puzzles and stuff like that. And I remember Facebook came along when I was 16. And few friends went into it. And again, it was an invite basis. So cool kids got access first.
Right.
I think it was a reflection of what your network was, I guess.
Yeah.
If you knew people, you get, right? So that's always been the case. So we all got onto Facebook. And Facebook seemed like this little cleaner, better version. And I think naturally just killed Orkut. And I remember in 2010, when I went into college, the first year, and I remember the movie came out, Social Network. I think it had just come out, but I think in India it came out in June, maybe a few months later. And that just blew up. And everybody got onto Facebook. And anyone and everyone you knew, you would be like, oh, you're on Facebook, you're on Facebook. It just became this norm. And I remember there, sort of Facebook stabilized. And then it copied its status because Twitter was around for 3 years. And I knew Twitter. I was never on it, but I would follow Twitter because I had a habit of watching the Late Night Show and the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And Jay Leno would talk about tweets and retweets and stuff like that. So I realized that it's a big thing, but they copied the status feature and you could leave statuses on Facebook. And that became the thing. Then pictures came along, videos came along, all that thing happened.
Yeah.
I got onto YouTube at 2006-07 because my friend said there are some funny videos I want to show you. So we would load a video and wait for 40 minutes before we played it because it would take that much time to buffer on a dial-up connection.
Didn't it start in 2008?
No, it started in 2000 something. In 6 or 7, Google acquired it. Then it became YouTube. It was something else before that.
Oh, you used that?
No, we didn't use that. I used it only when it was YouTube. So having a Gmail got you access into YouTube in some
yeah.
way. Or they weren't linked, but you could just use it. Back then, I think you could use YouTube with any ID. Later on, it became part of Gmail.
Okay.
Right. So anyway, so we started to watch that. It takes so long to watch a video.
Yeah, I still remember that.
That's a
Yeah.
I remember that. I
So-
remember the buffering.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like I remember we would be on the phone and we would all want to watch one video and then everyone would be there and someone would have watched it because his internet speed is faster and yours is not. It was crazy. So that experience is very different. So you would connect it on one channel, be it a phone or chat, and then you were consuming content on a different channel. So they were not linked,
Linked,
right?
yeah.
So the community aspect wasn't there. Facebook in a way solved for that. So when you could post something, you could upload something, all your friends together can watch, comment on it,
Comment,
all
yeah,
those
yeah.
things, right? That changed the game. And then I think gradually from there, WhatsApp came along, I think for me, I think in 2011, 12, and I think that changed everything in a lot of ways. Before that, we were dependent on like, if you were in a relationship with somebody and you couldn't speak on the phone, you had to have your 500 SMSs a day pack
Yeah.
to be able to send one SMS and there were character
What about
limits.
Viber? You remember
Oh,
Viber?
I wasn't even on
remember
Viber.
Huh?
We were not, I never used Viber. I skipped Viber. I think
Oh.
by the time you got onto Viber, I think WhatsApp came along and we were like,
I mean,
fine.
but Viber had the free
Calls.
calling.
Yeah.
That was the main thing.
Internet
International
calls.
also. So yeah.
But
Right.
somehow I maybe didn't have use case for it at that time. So
Yeah.
the point is I've seen those platforms evolve, and then I mean obviously today they've turned into form of what mass media channels were, like
Right.
what TV was in JLNO was for me in 2009 is how I probably look at a Danish Seth today.
Yeah.
Consuming 30 seconds of his content or 1 minute of his stuff, skits, right?
Mm.
So it's been incredible evolution. So I've seen it. So I'm somewhere, I think, stuck what you guys might call old school, because I still like certain things. Like I like watching my test cricket, 5 days of cricket. Like nowadays it's 4, no one plays for 5, it just gets over.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'll still like sort of reading books that are not from Kindle, even though surprisingly I chewed up PDFs faster than reading books, but I still love the feeling of reading books and consuming deeper written content, even though sometimes I feel it's just inefficient, but I still like it for some reason. So I've seen this evolution, and I think you guys come from a very different generation. You more than him. I think you're somewhere in the middle, where I think you, like you said, age of 8. I mean, like, my God, dude, at the age of 8, I couldn't even, I remember I shifted from Delhi to Bangalore at 8. Okay. I grew up in Delhi initially. I came to Bangalore. I remember first few days in school, I couldn't have a conversation where my 2 people are sitting in the bench with were talking about a deer or a leopard who's faster. And I
Yeah.
couldn't participate in the conversation because they were speaking in English and I
Oh,
didn't know
wow.
English, and I was so Hindi speaking back then. So I can't even imagine at that age figuring out how to be on, like, wherever it was, Gmail.
Yeah.
My goodness, dude, like it's crazy. So I feel like there's an unfair advantage that you probably have, which is you got certain information much faster than we did, and you are able to use it and sculpt whatever you want to. So I'm curious to know, how do you guys look at Instagram, for example, or social media? Because I find, like, when I was growing up, I think for us it was very naturally discouraged. It is a distraction. Luckily, I was in high school, college, so it wasn't the case. But for my sister, for example, who was probably 7 years younger than me, somewhere around your age, I remember the conversation being, don't spend so much time online.
Right.
You have to study or do other things. So it was a little different. For me, it was, don't spend so much time watching TV.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different thing. For my dad, it would have been something else. Like, who knows? So I'm curious to know, what was that like at 8, being able to receive and send emails, at 13 or 14 being able to upload photos, put out your thoughts. And naturally, and now it explains why you started editing videos at such a young age.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. Like, I couldn't even think. I didn't have access. I've you know what we used to do at 14? Record audio, funny stuff that we would talk or imitate and stuff like that into your 1100s, and then save it as a file, and then have a tough time finding that file on your phone because you don't know
Yeah.
where you saved it. The UI was so complex.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, but it's crazy to look at it. So how do you guys look at content today? Like, if you were to define it from your perspective, with all that mindset you've spoken, with your story, how do you look at it?
Content. I mean, we are in different generations.
Yeah,
He's the
sure.
oldest,
So
I'm
just,
in the middle,
so just
you're the
define
youngest.
it. What is content according to you guys?
Okay, I feel like content for me is just communication at scale.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Oh.
I don't really see it as videos or texts or images or anything at all. It's like, whatever I want in life, I need people for it. And my access to people comes through media.
Mm.
And it's just communication at scale. That's it. It's like, I'm talking to you. I'm trying to understand how you think. and I'm trying to say something for you to feel a certain way about me, right? It's very primitive for us as human beings. It's very like a survival mechanism. Every single time you talk, no matter what kind of a person you are, you're trying to leave an impression,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can't remove that from yourself. If that is more in tune with whatever you want in life, social media solves for it. Social media is just communication at
Right.
scale. It's like I would never go out and really ask anybody for anything because I have social media.
Mm-hmm.
I can just display and let it come.
Right.
So I think this is more from like how my dad just taught me in general. He was like, you should never pursue anything. He's like, never chase anything.
Expand. I'm very curious.
So he is the believer that you don't need to chase anything in life.
It'll come to you.
You become the person that deserves that. So he doesn't say that don't do anything. Do everything that you want to do, but don't chase it. Don't chase that job. Become worthy of that job. Right? You want to be hired somewhere for XYZ thing? Work on yourself. So he says that the only way you can help someone is when you help yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want something from somebody else, become somebody of worth, and they would want you before you want them. In that chase, in that journey of doing. So it's like,
It's be, not do.
yeah, just become that. Like
Yeah.
do that. For example, I want to intern at Virality. Okay, I want to learn of how you do things, and how can I do that? How can I have this guy offer me this? So I have never dropped a email to like anybody to hire me or anything. I'm like, I would always take the long route. I would do something, some type of stunt for you to notice me, and like for you to be like,
Got
do you want to be here? Do you want to do something with us? Like, yeah, that would be really cool. So it's like social media gives me that access. That's how I see it.
Interesting.
And if I don't want to do anything, I'm not posting.
Mm.
It's like, I don't want fame. I don't want anybody to notice, praise me, or say anything about me. I just want, if I want something from maybe someday I want Gary Vidhu to notice at school, I would go a very, very long route.
Mm.
Like a very, very long route. I feel like that's how generally things work out in terms of obsessions in general. Whenever you want something really bad, you always outdo. It's like all that you ever wanted was 40,000 for yourself so that you could be free. And then when you make more than that, all that you want is to make few lakhs so that you can have a great lifestyle. Then all that you want is few crores so that you never have to make money. Just keep doing that. So he's like, fuck desire. Don't, like, he's like, just don't engage with desire in that way.
Right.
Focus on what you do and let it come to you. Life is
Interesting.
Wow.
And you?
I mean, I think I look at, let's say, social media. First, it's media. And I think media ultimately is entertainment or education. Like, that's the way I looked at it. And I grew up a lot more with YouTube. I think that's the thing which is different for me. Like, say, I told I play table tennis. I used to watch a lot of table tennis on YouTube. And I used to like look at players, imitate them. And then I used to get so excited to go to the court and try it out what they did. But I also looked at a lot from education. I was like, I think, dude, what it enabled is it's the social element where I can sit in Bangalore and watch what Gary Vee is talking in New York. And I found that like to be incredible. And I think I saw my like user behavior from TV as being the main entertainment source going more towards YouTube. Like I would actually put YouTube videos. I would like sometimes you need to download keepwit.com and all, download a video. I would download funny videos to like rewatch again. I think, dude, I used to look at social media a lot more that way. Like I was actually not even keen to join Instagram, to be very honest. Like Facebook I joined because there were games.
So why did you join Instagram?
Why did I join Instagram at that time? My then girlfriend told me, hey, you should get on Insta. I'm on it. So I was like, cool, let me try. Even I never engaged with it at all. Like I only did it just as soon as I passed 12th standard, my last days when I joined Instagram, exactly that day.
Very interesting. I actually joined all these platforms with a sole purpose, apart from Facebook, obviously, and YouTube, to learn and to like figure out how it works, because I just figured I need to learn because of distribution.
Mm.
So like last week was my 10-year anniversary on X.
Oh, okay.
They sent, I got a message when I logged in. It said your 10-year anniversary. I just took a screenshot of it. I kept it.
Photo from Elon.
Yeah, no Elon. There was no Elon.
Selfie.
Funny enough, I think I saw the design of the bird somewhere.
Oh,
The
okay.
Twitter bird. I think maybe I'll just check my screenshots. It's somewhere there, maybe not there,
I
but
think
yeah.
the key difference was that for me, the first engagement with social media was like that upload button.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I went on YouTube and clicked on that upload.
I mean, you were a creator, we were consumers.
I never
I was a
consumed.
consumer.
Brilliant.
I was a consumer. I was not a creator.
Yeah.
So I made something and I wanted my friends. So I could have either put it on Drive on YouTube to share a link.
Mhm.
And I chose YouTube. That changed
Wow.
everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because there was other people that was watching it that I was not
But
doing.
also it's because do you feel like you knew so many other people creating, so it felt more normal to do, or do you feel like actually it was just you who were like upload button, I'm gonna do
I
this?
didn't know anybody. I was
Damn.
like, just
That's like the button I skip. Sometimes on my phone on YouTube, I click the plus button by mistake to upload a video. I go like, oh shit, what am I doing here? Like it's like a mistake. I was just trying to go to saved or like watch later. But
I explode upload first.
wow, amazing, yeah.
You're ahead of the curve in a lot of ways.
It is, yeah.
We are like very late.
I don't think so.
No, I think
I feel like it's overrated.
maybe I think times were different. I don't think I had an
You
option to
didn't need
upload.
to do that. Look, you have
Yeah,
a
maybe.
nice, beautiful, creative agency. There's people, there's art, there's great stuff. For me to have that access, this is the only way now. If I do it the way you did it 10 years ago, there's no way I'm reaching anywhere.
No, I think this is a very good discussion because we touched upon this that night when we first met too, which is about having personal brands and otherwise. There's also, I have two questions merged into one, which is how do you take this ethos both of you have? You obviously had some, you worked here, you picked up
Right.
some, then you went out and did your thing. You obviously stumbled into it from different direction. How do you take your personal philosophy and ethos into building your agency, your agencies? And do you think it's important to have this layer of personal brand built around it? And before you answer that, maybe take 5 minutes or lesser to just talk about what is it that you guys do in profession,
Sure.
or what does your organization do? So who wants to go first? Okay.
What do I do?
What do you do?
So I am the co-founder at an agency called Scrollstop.
Hmm.
So after I left Virality, I started an agency called Underdog. I did that for 2 years, which is into performance marketing, pure running Facebook ads for e-commerce brands. Now, basically, I saw there was a gap in the creative side of things. I was like, hey, you know what? Ultimately, ads is just pushing more impressions behind content, but the content is what mattered the most, right? But nobody focused on the content. I was like, hey, I think we should just focus on the content. The ads will take care of itself. That's how we started Scrollstop. So, like, that's what I do now ultimately. So we create a lot of content, UGC videos specifically for a lot of e-commerce brands.
What's your team size, your
So-
size of business, if you want to, at least the volume that you handle, if you don't want to reveal numbers?
Wow. Okay. So I mean, we are a business. We have around 15 people full time. We have an office space here in Bangalore. It's a good team. It's a mix of team in the strategy side of things and production also. So yeah, I mean, we're handling. I think we're doing almost 200 ads a month right now across multiple brands. Working with some really cool kick-ass brands as well in India. So it's a fun journey. Yeah. I mean, the business is doing over multiple crores in
Wow.
revenue. Wow.
Millionaire.
But yeah.
Millionaire.
No. Business.
A multi-millionaire. So she said two.
Multi-
I said 1 millionaire. One, I was just said like no,
Wow.
somewhere around millionaire. But yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, commerce.
that's commerce. Yeah.
What about you?
Okay, so I started with an agency as well. I built this agency called Zark Media. The origin of the name is there's an X and ARC.
Mm-hmm.
So X is for experience and ARC
Wow.
is the core of a storyline.
Right.
It's like how you
Mm.
feel it emotionally. So Zark and simple creative agency, fun folks doing fun ads, not really any business agenda as such. Just how can I expand this understanding that I have within more people and
Mhm.
create cool stuff. It's like, so my agenda, business agenda was to make crazy people come here. I
Right.
didn't really have numbers goal. I was like, how crazy of people I can bring here and see what can happen.
Right.
Now, I think I did that for 6 months, 4-6 months. And then I had a challenge with the do for you model in general. Because do for you model comes with the challenge of communication. And as much as I don't hate it, I think relationships is everything and people is everything in business. But I am just my idea for starting an agency was that I'll make beautiful stuff.
Mm.
I'll just be so creatively in tuned with what brand wants and like live for them and die for
Right.
them. And that's not how it happens. It's like you can have one brand then. Then why do you even do an agency? Then
Right.
might as well become a part of that company.
Fair.
So that was my attitude and I felt like that's what made me happy. So after having like 6-7 clients, so in first 2 months we were able to do like 25-30 lakhs. It was like a good
Nice.
starting point for us.
That's great.
And later I realized that communication is becoming very difficult. And like for me to go out of my way to explain why your brand needs your growth and it's good for you was like all this time could just go into me learning how to do this better.
Right.
And that love for it was just pulling from one end. And like every single time after that meeting, I'm like just taking 1 hour to explain like why this is a good idea.
Right.
And that really troubled me.
Right.
So it's
Well,
like
I've been there.
slowly just like letting go of clients and like, so in the meanwhile we were already building lit school. Okay, so I was in Bangalore to build lit school, but the first time that we started, it takes a lot of time, right? It's the first time for us as well. The dream was to just spread experiential learning, because everything that I learned and helped me was not in a structure. It was purely driven through my curiosity. And the one big challenge that I faced throughout education was it was very fear driven, not in terms of how teachers treat you and everything. Teachers are consequence of the system. It's how it's plotted. The way it's plotted is that whatever you learn, there's an exam. And that's what your self-esteem is attached to. That's what your life is attached to. That's what you get married or not is attached to. That's what how much money you make is attached to. And so whatever you do it for a very transactional basis. The very foundation of you learning something is not for the fun of learning. It's for the need of the outcome. And that's what generates fear.
Right.
And that's what generates mediocrity.
Right.
And so we were like, how can we create a place where before somebody even starts learning, they're presented with a challenge? Because we took challenges upon ourselves, right? What if I could do something that I never imagined I could do? Same thing that you said. So all these founders are sitting, okay, the people who build like huge agencies, like Ayush is there, Arvind is there, and we are trying to backtrace how did we really think of this? And the key thing is challenges. Your desire to wanting to overcome your own challenges. The same thing that I told you. Why? Before anything is taught to you, if I take 15 minutes to explain how mathematics can really change your life, or basic arithmetic can help you so much in anything that you do, even negotiating your salary, you can calculate your CTC more quickly of what you are going to have in the hand in front of the HR and like come up with a better answer, because it's like a tough situation and most people just succumb to it.
Yeah.
So if I told you this much, you'll be like, yes, I need to listen to this class. I'll be able to negotiate better with the HR. And that's what the idea was, to introduce a challenge which makes you curious first. And then you go and implement that challenge.
Right.
And then there's feedback on that after you've done that.
So what do you teach in lit school now? What is the curriculum like, and who is it tailored for?
Right now it's a creator school.
Oh, okay.
We started with starting a creator
So
school.
it helps people. So people pick a niche. Like, for example, you liked video. He would have liked something else in terms of maybe just talking to the camera. Or I would have liked podcasting, let's assume. So you would basically identify what the interests are and then take them through that sort of curriculum.
First, you
How does
take
it
them
work?
through repetition. Just do things around the ecosystem. Make them aware of, like, you can communicate through video, through text, through images. There's multiple ways that you can reach people, long form, short form. We just make them like very curious for what it is. I feel like the biggest job that we have is to inspire, is to really expose, to give exposure. Because the coolest thing that we liked in our colleges was exposure.
Right.
I didn't go to college to attend classes. I went there for fests. I just wanted to go to a lot of fests so that I can see more things. And that's what Lit School tries to do as well. The best way to describe Lit School is it's a fest in a college. It just, every 2 days it's a fest.
Got it.
So in the morning when you come, you're presented with a challenge. And then there's industry expert. For example, I tell you, you have 1 lakh rupees. Go plan an influencer marketing campaign for Rapido. And so we'll call somebody from Rapido to actually come and share experience on how did they do influencer marketing before, how does he understand the landscape, and what is the challenge that this brand is facing. The students are like, wow, I can help Rapido. And then they're like very curious and they're like, try to message all these influencers, try to cut down deals. Like in one leg, they're trying to like save 30K for themselves, and all this stuff is happening, right? So on the first day, they're like, if I do this well, I make 30K on the first day of joining this course.
So typically, what's the kind of students you get? Like what age, what backgrounds?
So right now it's more like whoever we select, we try to personally get to know them and then pick that way.
So what's a cohort size like?
So initially, first our goal was to do 15, then 25, then we'll now do 40, and then we'll do 50. Because we are also learning. We don't want to have so many people that we can't handle.
And what's the kind of applications you get for this? Considering you have sizable reach with a certain cohort of a certain demographic of audience, like what's the number of people that apply for one of your cohorts?
So up till now, we have only made organic content. We haven't really made ads.
Right.
That's what I want to talk to you about, by the way.
Okay.
Like, I want to explore that world as well. So all that we have done is made organic videos because we had the hypothesis, because what we are teaching right now, we have to do it in practice. We have to make organic work, right? We are betting on the idea of that creators is the big thing.
Right.
This is only going to grow. And the marketing is complete. All the budgets that was going on these TV serials and everything is now getting poured into this.
Right.
Right. We have to make organically this thing work.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first 2 months, we hit 10,000 followers on the new fresh page, and we got 4,000 leads for people to apply.
Right.
And then we selected 17 people. We overdid a little bit. From 15, we did 17 because 2 kids were from Jammu and they were really cool. They were really behind joining.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we did 25.
Got it. Interesting. Crazy to think. So, like, and we were just talking about this too, which is your real skill is you're able to communicate or tell a story in a very, very short form content, right? 15, 30, I'm assuming sub 1 minute.
I can make you feel in a minute.
Minute. Great. That's a great line.
That's a hook.
Yeah, that's a hook. And you actually help brands do that
Yeah, basically.
in the for paid. So it's like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, right?
Mm.
And I look at it as one of the many things that we do as service.
Right.
Because again, we've expanded and then there's multiple things you do for revenue. So this is an interesting conversation to have because I know both of you believe a lot on short form and reels specifically. For me, I'm a little bit of a skeptic. Maybe like I just narrated the entire story of Yahoo to Hotmail to Yahoo to Gmail to then
Right.
Hi-Fi and Orkut and Facebook and Instagram. So I think things like evolve, right? And I think in a world where we are living, which is so technologically driven, where I feel tech companies have a big say, they're always competing among each other for innovation and trying to bring the next thing, right? So I'm figuring somebody will go and create the next TikTok or the next feature and that will drive. However, I think options are saturating within a screen of what you can do without AR or exactly,
Vision
right?
Pro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's probably the next, right?
100%.
And
It is
things
the next
will
step.
will
This
change.
year.
Yeah.
This is outdated now.
Yeah,
You know
so I
what?
think
I'll
long
tell
back, I read this where about it said, first you had your TV, then you had your system, your laptop, your PC, then PC turned into laptop turned into iPad turned into phone, and then next thing will go into your, like,
Glasses.
you have your watch, and then so it's just going into you, right? Eventually a
Yeah.
chip in the body somewhere, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Or something on those lines. So, do you sort of look at it and say, okay, this is the future, I'm betting on it? Or is it like, okay, this is the feature for now, and then tomorrow will be something else? Like, how do you...
Feature for now.
Okay.
I
Got
don't
it.
care about reels. I hate reels, honestly. In the first go, I was like, I don't want to make short form content.
Right.
I started from YouTube as well. I'm like, how can you make somebody understand something without them breathing? Like, let the person breathe. It's like, pop, 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 pop. I'm like, I hate that.
But why is it working?
It's working because you understand communication.
No. I mean, like you said, it's not right to send short form.
Why is it working?
Yeah. Why is
Because
it working?
instant gratification. People want to be happy now. They want things now. They don't.
Is that a function of a particular age group, or you think that's the
Humanity.
case with?
I think
That's
everybody
humanity.
now. Yeah. I think attention spans in generally are going down. And today, all the attention on reels. Like, we don't open stories or feed anymore. It's directly reels, right?
Right.
Dude, like, if you don't like a reel in 2 seconds, you just do this thumb swipe and you're on the next reel.
It's like stimulation. For
Yeah.
example, somebody who's relatively very young, they don't have the insight. Is everything okay? They don't have the insight that you have, that if I listen to a podcast for 3 hours, I learn so much more, which will help me lead my next 30 years of life better. They don't even know if they're going to wake up tomorrow.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
living like that.
No, but that's always been the case, right? The number of people who read books, for example, were always
Older.
lesser than
Lesser.
people who didn't read books, right?
Always, yeah.
Always. So I think the pursuit for knowledge and content, be it written, TV, whatever, and most people who get addicted and watch things are probably people who watch the same kind of content again and again, or on repeat or loop. So this phenomena has been there forever, right? It's not changed much apart from the medium or because
It's
attention
just
span is
too
dropped.
much faster.
Yeah.
That's
So
the thing.
is that creating like is that good or bad? And I ask that because I feel, and we touched upon this on particularly with Gen Z, and I think it's not no way to sort of put them down or condemn your age group in any way.
Please do. I don't
But
mind.
no, it's not. But I feel there's a lot of information that's coming at a very fast pace,
Yeah.
and I don't think at that age most people, and like you just said, are at a position to figure what to do with that information.
True.
right? There's no clarity to strategize and figure out your next steps because you're well informed and rounded. Whereas
Right.
for me, and less so for you maybe, and less so for people basically before me, we didn't have information. Like
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with my mom. She's joined some group on WhatsApp where they're discussing nutrition every day now.
Wow,
So like
okay.
she's coming and telling me, do you know dal is not protein, it's complex carbs. I'm
yes.
like,
Yes. I love
Right.
auntie.
so I'm like, this is something like I know, for example, but I
Right.
think they're getting into it now after eating
Yeah.
dal all your life, right?
Mm.
My
So-
mom is watching vlogs on YouTube.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so I feel like, for example, is information too soon for this age group?
Mm.
And if so, is it like helping or not helping? Rather, if it's not too soon, for example.
I'll tell you, it's oversaturation,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
number one. And secondly, it's just making the spiritual war even more difficult.
Okay.
So
Mm.
your challenge was lack of information.
Right.
Our challenge is not lack of information because it's available.
It's lack
Abundance.
of selection.
It's our spiritual
Application. Okay.
war. No, it's just we are not in tune with ourselves.
Hmm.
We are just so stimulated. We are part of the machine, the bigger machine. We are the product.
Mm-hmm.
They just have made us the product.
Mm.
You just keep consuming. There's no. The people who keep consuming content have no content to talk about
Right.
Mm.
Fair.
because content comes from within.
Right.
If you have genuine ideas,
Mm-hmm.
it's by sitting by yourself.
Right.
Right.
Fair.
It's like having genuine experiences.
Right.
Our generation doesn't get that much chance because I'm not saying that it's out of somebody's control and they're like doing something to you. But in the large scheme of things, the availability of something like this, it's like something in Canada. They made drugs legal. Look at the street. You literally get syringes like on the street.
Yeah.
You can literally be walking on the street and your foot would like fall on a syringe and you're drugged. It's hard to walk in Canada.
Mm.
So how do you break this rut? How do you get out of it?
Switch off.
Like switch off as
Not
in
completely.
I put my phone on D&D most of the times.
Mm.
And my mom hates me for it.
so why not just go off the apps, for example? Like for example, I have no notifications.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
only notification I have is my calls. Like if I get a call,
Mm.
if I'm not on silent mode, but I met this call I took many years ago.
Mm.
Like I was addicted. Like I would follow every single like notification on Instagram, on Twitter, emails I do. I still and I have my Swiggies and the others, which is like
Right.
time bound ways where I make an act. But social media is completely off, including WhatsApp. Like I have no
Same here.
notification. So the problem is I miss WhatsApp calls. So as a function
Okay.
of that.
So I have no problem in that. I feel like the loss that you incur. So this is going to sound very extremist, but I feel disrespected. I am talking to you right now and I'm indulged in this conversation, okay? And I care to listen to you. How can somebody come and interrupt us without our choice? How can you give me a ting or a tiddy and I am distracted and you are distracted
But you've enabled that, right? On
and the
the
moment
phone.
is lost.
But you've enabled it on the phone by having a choice of having a phone and
Exactly. So you
Notifications.
disable it. You keep
Got
the
it.
phone because you can't cut communication. You can't be like, I'll be a caveman from tomorrow.
got it.
You lose a lot. But you build a system around it. It's
Right.
like, I will not engage in this. So I don't use my phone after like 2 hours after I wake up. If any day I wake up and I check my phone in the first hour of opening my eyes, my productivity is 50% less.
Interesting.
Because there's no will or energy to want to put out, right? Everything has been done. Everything's been said. There's more cooler people than you. They're doing everything in the world. You see that in the morning, your will to hunt is gone.
So
Yeah.
how do you build that self-awareness? Do you do the same? Like do you cut off?
So I mean, I do something more of conscious consumption,
Okay.
which is, let's say, on Instagram. So I think completely disabling it is the ideal route, but it's also a little bit very tough. I mean, in our case, in our line, we work on
Opportunity
Instagram
cost.
and all. Yeah. So it's like I kind of do want to be aware of what's happening there, but I don't want to look at this girl complaining about her life.
So I'm like very
Right.
intentional. Same thing.
Yeah.
Even I consume. I'm not like don't use it at all. I
Right.
have 1 hour to 1 hour 30-minute usage of a phone every day.
Right.
But it's like, so after I wake up, an hour or two later, I check it for 30 minutes. All the messages that has been texted, I respond. And I use it throughout the day when I'm traveling or communicating actively to reach somewhere. Because that person is looking out there, where am I? Like, there's an active communication going on. And then later in the night, I just try not to use it. After work hours,
Yeah.
So how does one build the self-awareness? Like, so it's basically you figure out what works for
You
you.
realize that you're
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
first you realize that you're not in control.
Huh.
Then you have to stop and realize what's for you.
So I've done this at least, so turning off notifications. That's my
Yeah.
hack. You've done conscious consumption.
Yeah.
You've done D&D. That's like extreme.
Extreme. Yeah.
We both are still moderated, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I told you it's extreme.
it is.
Yeah.
But so what's like? How does it, like you said? So you get fucked. Let's put that as a realization.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
fucked.
Okay. So what's next? How do you unfuck yourself? Let's call it that.
I think you start to find love in slow things again. You start to find interest in.
Is
talking
that
to people.
possible in today's day and age when you're just like again overloaded with choice
So
and
much
information?
stimulation.
Yeah. So how do you then break away from that? Isn't that, like you said, then that's an addiction too, right?
I think you have to have the extreme to really break away
Exactly.
from it.
Hmm.
Exactly. Once
I don't think people can sit alone in a room anymore.
somebody said that a man's all problems
well,
arise from
yeah.
him not being able to
Yeah,
sit in
yeah.
a room by himself.
Dude, if you think about it, when you have conversation with people, sometimes there's a lull for 10 seconds. Everybody picks up their phone.
Yeah.
It's like you can't have that small drop in the attention. Oh yeah, shit. And sometimes people do nothing. Like they're just checking nothing on their
You
phone.
I have
learn
read-
so much about yourself.
Right.
Like so for the purpose of this podcast, we are continuously talking. But if we were just sitting in the room,
Hmm.
if there was no purpose, if you would genuinely engage in the conversation with me and genuinely notice how I'm talking to you, you'd get to learn a lot about yourself.
Right.
When am I paying attention?
Right.
When am I interested? What part of your qualities do I like more? It's so much learning that you can't have a notification take it away.
Right. It robs you from the present.
Right.
And already presence is so hard. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. It's like we are already spiritually so tanked because of so much stimulation. It's our work, right? I have to open the laptop. I have to consume the phone. It's so rare that I really preserve it. I really value it.
Right.
I don't think I have a lot. There's very limited.
Whoa.
I don't know tomorrow.
I'll ask you an interesting question to you. There was this, I heard somebody talk about this, which is the younger generations now, since they're growing up with their phone, they will deal with it better than we will.
Possible.
That was a theory.
Possible.
Like, say for example,
No,
like
I-
our mom forward stuff on WhatsApp, right? And you just go like, come on, what are you doing, right? So we are more educated that way about digital thing because we grew up with it more. But do you think, let's say, like for example, what you said is actually very forward in my opinion. Like that's more like we are very self-aware. Say like example to both of us, we are not on D&D yet. That's maybe stage
No,
we might reach later.
I did do D&D once long back when I turned off. I turned the mode on. I think at 10:30.
Yeah, that I do now. Yeah,
But then that was like 2 years back when there was heavy rains in Bangalore and my basement flooded, and
Okay.
my watchman was out there trying to tell me my car's like getting flooded and take it out, and I missed that call. So,
Oh, sure,
but luckily
okay.
there was a spare key with somebody else, and they took the car out, so I was safe.
Okay.
But after that, I was like, okay, maybe not so extreme. So that was the scenario. So that's just one personal experience I had.
that
But otherwise,
D&D I
yeah.
still do. At 10 o'clock till like 9 a.m. in the morning.
Hmm.
I don't want to like, I mean,
So,
I use my phone before I sleep.
Hmm.
I turn off the internet now.
Huh,
You
yeah,
can do
yeah.
something like that as well. Maybe you can choose to D&D when you're on your work hours.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just
Yeah.
sitting 2 hours, stop it.
Unfortunately, my work is being on social media.
I mean,
so-
attention is so
How is
weaponized now,
it
yeah.
being on social media?
So I think I mean,
Platform.
yeah.
You understand the
I'm-
platform.
No, not understand. I think I understand the platform. I understand people. Now it's a competitive game of who's putting out what, where, and how, where. And I think I'm less obsessed as I was maybe when I was 4-5 years younger. Now I'm a little bit more ease with something being there and me not seeing it. Back in the day, I had this. I think it comes from how you learn, right? Like this is a great sort of segue into that side of the conversation, which is I've learned by consuming and then filtering through what I want and don't want. I'm assuming a lot of people do that. So for me, when I started out this agency, I had no background of working in this, and generally people who don't work in this field don't create agencies. At least when I was 24, 25, that was a trend. I don't remember too many people of that age group around who probably started without that. There's some now I've come to realize, but back then there wasn't. So how do you now? You already have a sense of insecurity that you aren't as good. And I like to think that I'm a noob every day because it just humbles you and puts you in a position where you're trying to consume and learn. So that way, the only way to sort of stay ahead of the game and do it was constantly consume and figure what's the latest thing. If there's a new format, if there's a new type of storytelling, like you were doing something interesting on Instagram, Vyom was doing something, he's doing something with performance ads. I want to know. The only way to know is to be switched on and be aware. I think what I've done now is that I do that when I'm at work, but after that, I don't care. After that, it's become more of like bonding with friends, forwarding stuff.
This is why I think I started to step away from agencies because, and this again gonna sound very
Yeah,
acid
let's.
trip answer,
Okay.
but so I think for you to be successful on the internet,
Mhm.
you need some genuine substance offline.
Sure.
You should have done something substantial offline.
Sure.
That's the only
Yeah.
way, right? The way you do that offline is not by not being online.
Mhm.
So how to communicate that could always be bought. For example, you could always bring a guy like me,
Mhm.
right? Who knows the latest Instagram things and
Right.
hooks and this and that and risers here and there. You can call me
Right.
and learn it in an hour. But what will make you work is the wisdom that you have.
Mhm.
And that's what like actually the game is.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Communicate the way you said, Vision Pro will come and it will change everything. So it's not about like where is it gonna be. It's
Sure.
more about who you are. And in agencies, it's inevitable for you to have to be on top of the trend
Right.
because you have to immediately solve a problem of selling.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not behind that. I want to,
And that's why you stepped away from the agency
because
business.
I really want to. Maybe I think I can serve the world better that way.
True.
Maybe that's my personal choice.
Right.
I'm not saying anything is better or worse.
Yeah.
I
Right.
definitely think being able to scale this thing is, I have so much respect. I have like, it's
It's
very
hard.
fascinating. When I was going to be, I actually thought that I'll come like once in a while in few days and just watch you what you do. I really don't want anything from you. I don't want you to pay me nothing. And I would rather want to help you wherever
Right.
I can.
I
Because
mean,
it's-
I'm like glad you feel that way, but there's been ridiculous amount of effort that's gone behind the scenes to like
Exactly.
do this.
That's why I
Yeah.
would be able to see that and be like, wow.
So
fascination for
I just think it's tenacity and perseverance, to be very honest. Like this,
That's
that.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's grit. Like it comes from there. Like I also feel like again, that I map that to my childhood. Like I played cricket, I played football, I did a little bit of boxing and stuff like that.
Wow.
A lot of adversity. Literally, you get punched in the face and you got to figure out the next step,
Yeah.
next move, right? So sport also is like that. So I feel I'm like very comfortable in adverse scenarios. A lot of people aren't. And as a function, you have certain personalities that do it and don't. And I agree. Fuck, advertising is hard. Like it's, I think, second highest in terms of attrition rate in the world. I think after transportation as an industry, it has second highest or third highest number of suicides
Suicide
among
rate, yeah.
graduates and educated, like certain level of degree holders.
What's the least like? How can I not kill myself?
Well,
Can I
that's
be a
interesting. Probably, I think right now in our country they kill themselves the most.
Yeah.
The way things are structured. So I don't know the answer for that. I never researched. I think we like headlines, so we looked at these large bulletin.
It runs with the
Yeah.
negative, not the positive.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm behind, right? My pursuit of life is that, like, how can I have most of this? That has always been that. Like, how can I have most of this?
So you enjoyed the life of a creator, for example,
Life of a creator.
in your own terms, in some ways, like your own blueprint. Not. I'm not saying that Logan Paul, for example, is a creator. You have to be like that, or a beer biceps is a creator. You have to be like that. None of that. It's just more of, for example, how you perceive yourself to be in a certain path.
I feel like I love the craft of filmmaking, and I still love that. I don't think I really like all the attention and fame. It's really disturbing. Like,
But so, what level of filmmaking? Like, is it restricted to
indie filmmaking.
Okay, but not
No
not,
mainstream.
not feature, not
Okay.
mainstream.
I love
not-
A24. Like, that has
Okay.
changed my mind. Before A24, nothing really, but indie plus A24 films.
So in a 10-year window, that's how you would map yourself to? Like, that's what you would want to do? 10, 20, whatever years?
I don't have anything.
Oh,
I don't
fair.
want to do
That's
anything.
okay. That's good.
I
That's
just
good.
want to do like, I'm curious to see where I can go.
Got it.
I have no goals.
Exploring.
No goals.
Got it.
Like, this is going to be lifelong. Like,
Yeah.
of course I want great revenue in lit school. Of course I want my agency to work. Of course I want to help you in things. Yes, I have tangible number goals. But where would I be personally is like, there's no point. As much as I would put that, I would just disappoint myself.
Right.
Life will never give me what I really want.
Hmm.
It will just, what I exactly write. It will give me something even better.
Fair.
If I have like,
Fair.
I'll see it.
Fair.
What if I'm like not as rich? I can't waste my life being sad.
It's a desires, yeah.
What if I'm not rich?
Hmm.
What if I'm like living very humbly, or
Hmm.
I get into an accident? Anything, like something happens. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to have that image and like
Got it.
We'll see.
Interesting. So I had a second question as the part of that initial question, which took us to this long answer. But is building a personal brand necessary
Right
Yes.
now,
for your business to succeed?
Not necessary, but will it help? I think 100%.
when I see you guys, I think that thing is challenged. Because you guys did it without personal brand. I still see a lot of great agencies without personal brands.
Examples? Curious.
There's this guy called Ad Company karke in Mumbai. That guy makes good videos, great ads. He recently started doing personal branding. Everybody will get into it eventually, but I still feel like it's more of a people management skills.
Right.
It's not really sales. Which look, if you understand your industry and you can make connections and relationships, I think still word of mouth helps a lot. More
Yeah.
than you will get inquiries on your personal DM. You'd get more like you would work for something that was great. They recommend it to 4 more people in their circle. That's what happens really.
Right. Referral.
After you get that sale, after you get that client, it's all people management skill.
Right.
So that has nothing to do with personal branding.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
can build awareness on yourself. So that's like an added leverage. But I still feel like you could be a nobody on the internet and still have a bomb-ass company.
You can, yeah.
For sure.
But I think it's easier again in today's day and age. Like, if you
Really
have
depends what
attention,
you
you can
do.
scale a lot more, dude.
Really depends what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an added adventure.
It is, yeah.
But then again, what if you as a person is not that marketable?
Right.
What do you do then?
Hmm.
Like, do you just keep getting upset about, oh, dude, I'm not. One thing about social media is, and I'll say it, it's very vanity driven,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Sex and money. That's all that the world wants, and that's what social media sells.
Right.
As much as you will make a great point, people want to listen to great points from people either who are experienced and successful or attractive, which makes sense. It's very biological, right? Once you have results, that's when I'll listen to you.
Right.
Very straightforward. But if somebody doesn't have that marketable personality, I don't think they really need to worry that if I don't have a personal brand, it's going to be like that. And I don't think so. I feel like you can do great without it. But yes, unfair advantage. I would, we would come and punch me in the face if I say this.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should try to. You can be curious that how can I help people? Don't be behind building a personal brand.
Hmm.
Have a mission. Have something that you want to help people with. Take that flag and run to the mountain. And then let people follow. Let your cult build. Don't have expectations. Because another thing about personal brand is you can't really map a business ROI to it unless you're huge, right? You're getting awareness from everybody.
Right.
How could you be like, okay, from this time I'll hit this many followers, this many views, and so I should get this many clients and this should happen. When you have people to pay and like consistent revenues to hit, you can't have that. So
Got it.
I think it should be more like a hobby. I still think it's done
Okay.
best when it's like a hobby. I'm just like curious what I can teach people. You have so much to teach. You have so much to teach. Help people like me. Please come on the internet. Yes.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just help. Try to build your cult. Don't have any business anything mapped to it.
Your end desire is more linked to business.
I mean, right now, yeah. I mean, I look at it through like leverage, which is, I think, like, I mean, if you look at the Naval thing, right? I think, say, like how we said, when we run a business, we always think about people. Agency, you scale more people, right? Digital is like a massive scale, it's permissionless. You can scale so much more further, right? Even in the smallest use case, I used to write on LinkedIn. Dude, I used to get so much clients from it. And I was like, dude, these are just general thoughts that I had. I was just writing it up over there. So I've at least tasted a little bit of how we can drive business thing. But I think I'm in the arc now where I'm building the business, trying to like solve my money problems. But after a certain point, I wanted to go greater than money. Like I wanted to be more for like mission. So that time I would want to use social as only just for that. Like if there's no ROI driven.
Maybe I'm
anything.
stupid that way. It could be true. Like I
No.
talked to this guy. He's a good friend. He's building this agency called Binge Labs, and they do YouTube for people. They organically grow your YouTube.
Nice.
That's all.
Nice, okay.
So this guy, we are talking that he has so many great ideas. He has like 700 ideas written of the videos that he wants to make because he's like a great analyst and he just keeps going on YouTube to help his clients.
Okay.
So he's like, bro, from the inside, I'm like that artist as well. But I feel like I really want that time. I'm okay to make these videos after I'm 60. And I'm like, I want to make them really precious and really beautiful and all that stuff. I don't know what happened in my life, but that expectation of being alive after 60 is gone.
Okay.
I don't know. If it is there, then great. But even I was like that guy. I was like, okay, I'll make 20 crores. I'll make that money. I'll do everything to make that money and then I'll live. And then I realized that in that spree, I might lose my will to live by the time that I reach there. And so let me do what I really love and let me be smart to wrap finances around it. Because the truth is that actual wealth is built over time. It will take me 10 to 20 years to have that kind of money. Why to hurry?
Right.
Let me solve for today's money and be genuinely really good at something that I do, and let society award me for it.
Right.
So, and even if it doesn't happen, at least I lived my life when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying living your life is like drinking, going out, wasting time with people. I'm not saying that. But the things that you really inspires you, I don't think there is a tomorrow to do it.
Right.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enlightening conversation. I got to learn so much about how 21-year-olds think today and sometimes don't think today. And I think it's been very interesting and fascinating. I think even to our line of work, I mean, I still look at everything as advertising. And within that, I think there are segments and niches and specializations. What I'm beginning to understand is that a lot more people are solving for niches, like going and solving YouTube versus overall brand-based conversation.
Right.
And there's no right and wrong to this. I think it's just the future tomorrow, to
I'm
be
sure
very
you'll
honest.
make a lot more cash than them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I think it just, I think nobody understands brand anymore today. I think it's that the conversation's changed. Before there were defined rules on how you could do it, like having a tagline, doing a TVC, doing your print ads on the days your TVC is going live, covering the bus stand with the colors of your brand and adapting your designs, etc. It was a different way of doing it. Today that's changed a lot. It's become a lot more unstructured. It's also a function of, I think there's more supply of marketers in the ecosystem than demand for solving for marketing problems.
I feel like there's a lot. I disagree. I feel like there's a lot of demand and not enough great marketers.
I sometimes don't think that demand is necessarily demand. I just think it is desire. For example, somebody wishes for their brand to be, like, for example, let's talk about this, right? I want to build a personal brand. Is that a problem? No, it's a desire. Business is working great. Like, I don't think there's a need for a personal brand. Like,
But
for example,
you would pay a little bit. I feel like if somebody comes and like, bro, I'll sort this for you. I'll do all of this for you. Strategize it for you. You'll pay.
Of course I would.
So where there's the desire, there's demand.
Sure.
Desire for good marketers.
Sure.
And that's the core issue.
No,
There's a lot of average.
not necessarily. Let's look at, I think, great conversation. I think it's more of there's niche requirements. I want to grow my YouTube, right? Maybe not necessarily that I want to build this brand for myself or I want to do XYZ something at a larger scale. Is more micro. I want to build my Instagram. I want to build this. Different reasons. Might be status game, might be because they just feel that they're beneficial for business, whatever it might be. And then someone's solving for that. So I feel what was traditionally getting solved for is different from what is getting solved for now. And as a function of which, I think there's a lopsidedness in, it's not even lopsidedness. I just feel what you might look at and call advertising is not what I might look and call advertising.
I don't know advertising.
Fair, right? Or marketing for that matter. Or you might.
I know content.
Great. So
I don't know advertising.
it's a subset of
It is
advertising,
100%.
which is a subset of marketing.
100%.
Right? You might look at it differently. Joel might look at it differently. So I think it's more of that. So I think all of this is now getting played into the real world. And I think that's creating this, what do you call, multiple outcomes. Let's call it that. There's not one way of doing things. There's different ways, and it's all getting accepted now because, like you just said, more people get onto the internet, more people forward stupid memes, more people get ridiculed, more people get maturity faster, and then they realize what is do and don't, and I think that's happening now. So yeah, it's great. So I think it's just a natural course, and it'll also, like, I think what this will create is saturation in terms of content and what people are consuming and what people are putting out, and over time that'll settle, and then everybody will learn how to do this better, be it on the internet or on the real world in terms of mass media channels. And I think it'll all come together also at some point in time. So yeah.
You gave me a great idea right
Which
now.
is?
You know what I really want? Like, so I never really wanted to do a podcast, but I think you gave me a great podcast idea.
Which is?
I want to do a podcast where people just come and obsess over how can they crack content. It could be anybody. I'm okay with anybody's hypothesis as long as they are really in love with this thing. But I want that room where, so this is pure for R&D. I don't want views.
Yeah.
I don't want anything. I just want conversation with obsession.
Hmm.
That they're really like psychotically behind how to crack content. How to have like, for example, you said that there were branding rules. There's still guidelines for how content works, right? For example, on YouTube, they just say,
Yeah.
before you make a video, you think of a title and thumbnail first.
Yeah.
You think of title, then you think of thumbnail, then you make the video.
Mm.
If you don't follow this series, by itself you're doing YouTube wrong. Right? And which is very true,
Yeah.
100%. Because
Mm.
first, people start consuming your content before they click on your content.
Hmm.
It's more intentful on YouTube. That's why views are more valuable. That's
Fair.
why 10,000 views have 200 comments.
Hmm.
On Instagram, 10,000 views isn't shit. So I would love a podcast like that.
Fair.
People just like,
Yeah.
they like
You can
spend...
turn it into a vlog also, like actual act, like people going
Discussion.
independently thinking, coming back. You could make it a series too. Who
I
knows?
would love that.
Yeah.
Like if people are genuinely, for example, he's like so fired up to like crack content now. So like, what would his journey be like in next 3 years?
Yeah, no
3
doubt
months?
about it. Do it. Like it'll be crazy.
Yeah.
I can find a lot of, and the thing is, a lot of creators have great intuition.
Yeah.
But if you're a marketer and you can backtrace their intuition to fundamentals,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you are stealing.
Right.
You're stealing the things that they don't even know.
Hmm.
So they'll make videos, right? They'll make like 200 videos. And out of those, like 15 would perform great.
Correct.
You pick those videos, just watch them and ask them how they thought about it. And you have gold.
You can reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
Because you, as a marketer, you can. You understand how desires and fundamentals work.
Yeah.
They don't know. They are just doing intuition. They just found their crack.
I mean, intuition is also, you can map it. You can write it on a Google sheet. You
He
can, yeah.
found a set of audience for his specific use case.
Right.
But through his experience also, you can figure out fundamentals, at least for that niche.
Yeah.
We did this a while back internally as like a fun virality social media thing where we got like 21-year-olds at that time, like a couple of 3 years ago, and made them watch ads from the 80s and react to it. Like
Okay.
we did that for a while. But then I think, I don't know what the video is. I think it got shelved somewhere. We should try and figure it out. But yeah, stuff like that, which is our way of sort of seeing if that stimulates somebody or not. But yeah, I like this idea of yours. Try it. I'll send people onto the show.
Yeah. You should come to the show.
I don't know if I am so obsessed.
I mean, if you're into content.
No, not less so. I'm more interested in what content can do. I think I've worn a business hat for too long. Now I'm all about numbers, unfortunately.
Which is great.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
learn that from you.
Yeah, it's easy. I think just
The business of content.
just get
Yeah.
greedy. It's easy.
I'm content, bro.
That's it.
I'm content. For me, marketing is content as of yet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You will go through that learning, unlearning,
100%.
learning phase. It'll be interesting.
That's what right now I'm like very curious, like how email and like I can create multiple touch points from WhatsApp and like long form content, and so I'm trying to create advertising in its entirety on social media. That's it.
Right.
Nowhere else.
Got it.
So
Interesting.
I'm trying to figure it out. Let's see.
Yeah.
Done. This is great. Like Joel just told me that we're running out of battery.
Nice.
Well, so that's the reason. I think we have to have a part 2 of this at some point.
Oh, he actually put 2
Yeah.
minutes left.
Yeah.
Just nobody
So-
noticed.
It was
Yeah,
up
yeah.
there.
You
So-
should keep this. This is a good part.
Of course, we will.
Okay.
So-
Joel asked us to shut the fuck up.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. But thanks a lot for taking time out on a Friday evening to do this. I'm assuming you guys had other things to do, but you canceled just because I called you. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling us.
we will do more, and hopefully we will have many more learnings to share with people.
Yes.